Hey, hello there, everyone. Right, welcome to another episode of MixStream. You are watching MixStream episode 14, and my wow, we've really come pretty much a long way, right? So ever since I've started this whole YouTube channel thing, this would be 14 episodes of MixStream. I've done like 31 episodes of like weekly update Wednesdays plus lots more other stuff. Right, I hope that you all are staying safe out there, okay? Everyone who you wherever you are watching this from, all right? Stay safe, stay healthy, take care, all right, of your yourselves out there, okay? All right, so let's see. A warm welcome to every one of you who's tuning in, who's watching. All right, the live stream tonight. There's a live chat going on over here. Okay, so right before this video started, I already started chatting with some of you guys. Now, if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, right, please leave it in the chat. And by the way, all right. If you're watching this, please do at least drop a word, say hi, let me know where you're watching here from. All right. So a quick look at the chat. Who is there? We have Celestine. Celestine's from KL, Malaysia. Mark Torres, all the way from the Philippines. How are you, brother? Eyes and Ears Productions. That's Chris Pereira, all the way from KK Sabah. All right, KK represent. Zechariah Henry, hello man, thanks again for joining in all these familiar faces and familiar names. And all right, Donna Ahmad, right? Donna's a good friend of the band as well, right? All right. Hope you're doing fine, doing well out there. And Spartanker is Adam. Spartanker here used to be my intern, okay? Right here in the studio. Hope you're doing good, right? Wait, you have a new chair? Oh yeah, right, I do, right? This is a real proper office chair. It's not a gaming chair though, but this is really good. Okay, useful for the many hours right spent here in the studio, right in front of the computer, right, mixing, recording, and all that. Okay, so it's really good, especially for my back, right? Especially all these years. So now, if you haven't done so, if I haven't mentioned, please head on down and click on the subscribe button. It will really help. I will really appreciate it. Do share this, okay? If you are watching this later on a replay, right? Do share this with your friends as well. Now, tonight, as you all probably know, I'm going to be mixing a brand new song from Project E.A.R, right? East Asian Revolution. So this is a band which I am part of, okay? Project E.A.R is a collective, right? It's a group. It's basically just a bunch of friends, right? So it consists of my band Pop Shuvit here in Malaysia, Slapshock from the Philippines, Dandee, who is from Thailand, and if we expand the bigger family, right, we also include Emmett all the way, right, who's over in Canada right now. Meng from Love Me Butch, Saint Loco from Indonesia, Ahli Fiqir from Singapore, and so many more. Okay, right? All of these are also in our extended E.A.R family. So now, this is actually not a new song. This is actually an old song, right? Stars was actually already recorded and released from Project E.A.R's first album, our debut album, this one, Revolution, the very first one, okay? So, this album was actually released in 2012, so this is actually 8 years ago. So the song originally is already here in the CD, track 8, okay, as you can see, track 8. But what we've done is we've kind of updated it a little bit. We added some guitar parts just to make it a little bit more heavier. All right. And what we're going to do is that we're going to plan to put it out and release lah. Okay. So now, the making of Project E.A.R albums are always right. There's a long stories behind it. So, but basically, what happened is that we wrote and recorded and pretty much almost the entire album, all right, from a great place in Bali. So what happened is that we got together with our producer, right, back then for the first album. It was Paul Cantor, for Jamir, Slapshock, us, and everyone, Dandee, we all flew down together and met in one place, okay, in Bali, and it was a beautiful place, right? It was a villa that was sponsored, right? Very thankfully, Macbeth, right? Macbeth was helped to sponsor the villa. So what we did is we converted the entire place into a studio, right? And it surprisingly, right, it's actually turns out to be a pretty good, cool place. So we spent about a week there, and it was amazing, lah. Basically, right? It's a villa that was in Uluwatu. It was overlooking the cliff and overlooking the Indian Ocean. Every day, you just need to step out into the balcony, and then you had a magnificent cliff top view of the ocean out there, right? Of the waves breaking, the breeze, the wind, and you can see the surfers down there on the shore, right, riding the waves. So it was really an inspiring place to ride. So we practically wrote, right? We wrote like 2 songs a day. So this song also was right inspired. Starz was written. The idea of it came from Jamir. So he was inspired to write this song, this melody. I think it was probably during a night time, because during the night, and we are hanging out, we're just chilling out, right? And outside the balcony of the villa, looking out in the night sky, and that, because we are out, not inside the city where there's all the light pollution, we saw all the stars, man. The night sky was beautiful. You could hear the waves breaking on the shore. You could hear you could feel the wind that was blowing in and coming in, and it was just amazing lah. So this whole album, right, we practically wrote and recorded it in 6 days. We did this, okay. So by the way, all right, so the reason why we're remixing this, as I mentioned, we are putting out, all right, actually a whole new collection of EPs. We actually came back together, and we've actually recorded whole albums worth, okay. So I think for those of you who've been following us, right, if you are probably already known that we've already released 3 singles, okay, already, right. So the first one, we released it last year. Our debut was Destination Nowhere. Okay, so and also the video, I will probably leave the link in the description, and also here a card right in the replay, so that if you're watching this later on, you can check it out. But if you just go to the Project E.A.R YouTube channel, right, or the Facebook or anything, you will be able to check out the music video. Okay, so that was the first single that we put out, Destination Nowhere. Then the second one, and immediately after we released Destination Nowhere, we did a little mini tour. We did a showcase here in Kuala Lumpur, and we also did a tour in the Philippines. And when we were there, we shot the footage for the video for our second single, which was titled One by One. Okay, so that was fantastic. That's a more rocking track, lah, right? Okay, and the third single that we released earlier this year was titled In Spite Of. Okay, so there's 3 singles out already. So the plan was actually that we were going to put out the whole album this year, but I guess everyone knows, right? COVID happened, and worldwide everyone is in lockdown. We can't get, obviously trying to fly Emmett and over here, or even just getting around our countries, because all our borders are closed. So touring and all that is a no-go, right? So we've put our promotions had to be delayed once again lah, okay. So the whole album is out, and in fact we just recently in the middle of all this, we recorded and rewrote and recorded another song. This time everyone was in lockdown. So this song, there's a new single coming out as well. So the title is called Dark Times. And yeah, the title kind of represents, okay, it's kind of fitting to the times that we are living in, and the environment that we are living in right now. So hopefully when that song puts out, we're actually going to be shooting the video for that in a couple of days time, next week. Everyone's going to be shooting again in their own areas, in their own place, in their countries, and we hopefully have the video and put the single out hopefully by either end of the month or sometime in next month. Okay, so stay tuned for that as well. So now, without further ado, okay, all right, and let's see who else is there. Hello. All right. Okay. Moods is here. Wait, Moods is in the chat. Shuvit management. Okay. Everyone say hi to Moods. Okay. Yay. All right. Everyone say hi to Moods. Oh, by the way. All right. Happy Diwali in advance, bro. All right. Everyone, right? Please wish Moods happy Diwali. Okay. Okay. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, as usual, first thing that we want to do is let's take in the entire song. Let's take a listen to the rough mix of the whole song. These were all the tracks that were recorded here. So when I said that most of the stuff was recorded over in Bali, that's not entirely true. What we did is, the most of the shell of the song we did over there, the core. That means the vocals, most of the main vocals, the arrangement, the structure was already done there. But after that, we would take it back and we would do a little bit of additional production. So back here in KL, here in the studio, we would re-record the drums. We would add in the live drums. Okay, we will add in all the additional parts back here, and as I mentioned, because we're putting this out, this is a newish updated version mix of the song. We actually added new guitars. Okay, Leanne from Slapshock, added some stuff to give it a slightly more heavier edge, a heavier vibe compared to the original. Okay, so let's take a listen to the entire song first, and let's take a look. This is the rough mix. Okay, listen to the rough mix, get a feel of how the different parts of the song are, where the different parts come in, and before we make a decision. Okay. That's DJ Uno on the ones and twos. All right. Sit back and enjoy, right? Grab a cup of coffee or something like that. You got me hypnotized by your eyes. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above. So all the vocals that you hear here, everything was recorded in the Uluwatu Sur Villas in Bali. We in the living room. This was where we set up the computer system. There's actually a video of a behind-the-scenes video that's on the project E.A.R. YouTube, which you can check out. I'll probably put the link to that video, okay, in the description section so that you can check out as well. So you see the behind-the-scenes footage or video of the making of the album, and you'll understand how amazing it was at the place that we did. So the second verse, back to Jameer. One of the bedrooms, we converted it into a vocal booth, and surprisingly, the acoustics for the entire place is actually pretty good. There is not much of acoustic treatment that we needed to do. So again, you probably watch that video, then you'll know, okay? Then this is Dandee's verse. And cursed, yeah, that's what we are.
stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight, we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive.
Last chorus. Alright, okay, so that's the rough mix, okay? So, right, play it once through, right? Get a rough mix, get an idea of the entire song, the entire feel of the song. So, now those of you who already watch my channel and watch all my videos would already pretty much guess what the next thing is, okay? Let's set the initial levels first, right? And why setting initial levels is good? Because you want to, right, make sure that you get a good signal path. You want to make sure that your gain structure is adequate, is correct, okay? Have a good gain structure for two reasons. Number one, obviously, you do not want to clip, okay? You do not want to clip your master, right? Because clipping in digital audio is bad and it's pretty much irreversible. All right. On the flip side, you do not want your overall level of the mix once you've done everything to be too low, because later on when you go to the mastering stage, when you bring it up, you will also bring up the noise floor. So getting a good initial setting, an initial level, right, and to ensure good gain structure, is very, very important. Okay, right. Gain structure actually is a whole concept that's very important throughout all of audio engineering and music production. Is really something that you have to pay attention to, lah. Okay, now. Oh, by the way, okay, speaking of things such as gain structure and all that, okay, on my YouTube channel right now, I have actually begun to put out the entire series of videos, right, from the Direct Access Music Production Workshop. So this was a workshop which I conducted in September and October. It's an annual thing, but this time it's special. We recorded the entire workshop and we're going to put up all the content. So there's all the video content, right? So if you are subscribed to my channel, if you haven't done so, click on the subscribe, right? They have all the videos. In total, there's probably going to be like 30 plus videos of, right, theoretical lecture content sessions. So do check it out, okay? Right? It's called the Direct Access Music Production Workshop videos. So let's head on down. Let's go with getting initial levels. So how do we do that? What's the tip? What's my starting point? Okay, so my starting point is I would start with the kick drum. Okay, so very, very simple. Now, there is again no set rules. What I'm gonna do is what I will aim for is I'm gonna aim to have my kick drum peak at about minus 12 dB fs. Okay, minus 12 dB full scale. Before I do that, okay, one thing I want to show to you. Now, for every channel, all right, every track here, I am going to be inserting these plugins in here. So what I have here in the first insert, this is called the Virtual Tape Machines by Slate Digital. So this is a tape machine emulation, okay? All right, so this is going to be first one. And what we're going to do is, this is as if, right, we are running the circuitry. We're trying to model and emulate as the signal flow as if it's going through an analog path, okay? So coming from a tape machine first, right, with the virtual tape machines. And then next one, inside here, this is Virtual Mix Rack by Slate Digital. And in here we have two plugins here. This is Virtual Channel. So Virtual Channel emulates the signal path as if it's going through a channel of an analog console. So here there are several models. You can also have a little bit of adjust the input and output gain. You can adjust the amount of drive. Here you can see there's USA. USA here stands for API. Your Brit 4K, these are SSL 4000Gs, 4KE, it's a 4000E, RC Tube is an old RCA tube console, so very, very old retro sounds. This little symbol here is called a trident, and Brit N is the Neve. Okay. Well, my favorite, right? My favorite sound that I prefer is the USA, the API, right? So somehow I will use this API. Okay. Pretty much 90% of the time you watch the previous episodes on MixStream, you see that I'm pretty much always on the API setting. That's the sound that I like. Okay. Moving on to the next one. This is FG73. Now FG73, this is the Brit N pre. So this is an emulation of the Neve 1073 preamp. Okay, so right, having these two plugins, right, it's as if I'm recording from a tape machine, right, like a 16-track or 24-track tape machine, going into the input channel of a analog console, and then finally, right, running through the preamp of a Neve. Okay, so it's introducing a little bit of that analog flavor, that analog I hate to use the word warmth, but you know, a little bit of that analoginess, right, inside the digital environment. Okay, that's something that, you know, a lot of the great old records that we love in the past were done on analog consoles. So that's why we're doing it. So that's why I put it here. So let's see. Now you might not be able to see this because this is going to be kind of off screen, but I'm trying to aim for my kick so that it peaks at about -12. Okay, so let's go with the kick drum. Let me just probably loop this section. Okay, we could turn the gain up a little bit more actually. So I'm going to do that by putting in a trimmer. Trimmer is just a trim plugin. It doesn't add any, there's no tone to it, it just adds level. So let's add about 3 dB. And let me show you, okay? So it's going to be peaking around here. So this is my master. So pay attention to where it's peaking, yeah? Okay, now, you may say that, hey, that's not -12, okay? Okay, and the reason why is because I also have a sample, right, underneath it, okay? So I have another sample. Here, this is a sample which I'm going to add, and I'm going to blend it in, okay? Now, Rudy is my drummer, okay? So Rudy recorded drums for this here at the studio. And you're right, he is one. I'm definitely biased, okay, right? Because he is my bandmate and he's my drummer. But he is definitely one of the best drummers which I've recorded, right? Out there lah. And I'm very, very lucky he makes my job as an engineer, as a mixer, so much easier because he's so consistent, right? His timing, his groove is super, super tight, and his balance, right? Fun fact, I've recorded many drummers, right, in almost 20 years of doing this, right, from different bands, from punk rock bands, from metal, right, some of the most heaviest death metal bands and ever. Rudy is, by far, still the loudest drummer out there. Yep, even louder than some of the guys who play punk rock and death metal, right? He really beats the crap out of the drum kit. But that's a good thing, okay? It's not just about the volume, but he's loud, he's hard and consistent, but very, very balanced. So he's able to really, you know, draw out the energy, maximize the tone and the power and the punch from the drum kit, but still keeping it balanced. And, you know, as they say, right, you start with a good source, it helps the process down the line. So now I'm going to blend in a little bit of the sample. So let's see whether we can get it to about -12 dB, okay? Let's see, okay? You might not be able to see this off screen, but let's go. Okay, cool. All right, good. It's a roughly good level, which I'm happy with. So a couple of other things. Let's go back to just the kick drum first. I'm going to work on a little bit EQ. Now with the live drums, I pretty much don't compress the individual tracks. I'm not a fan of compression on the individual tracks. But let's try something. So as you can see, there is a little bit of bleed, but let's try to introduce this gate. So this is all right, the drum gate, right, from Slate Digital that's included inside the virtual mix rack. So this one actually came from Slate's Trigger 2 plugin. Right, I did another video as well on drum trigger sample replacement, so you can actually check it out. Right, it's on the YouTube channel. Please do. So I'm actually pretty happy. If there's no need to gate the drums, I would rather just leave it open. But let's see. Right, let's try and gate these kick drum and see. Okay. Let's go with, let's say, kick debleed natural. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, it's pretty tight, actually. Okay. Okay, as you can hear, this is without the gate. You can hear a little bit of the bleed. This is awesome, man. So they have a function here. This is called the debleeder. So what it does is that there is a little bit of like a split band, multi-band thing going on. So what happens is that it's able to filter and bleed out and cut out all the bleed, like the high frequency sounds that's coming from the hi-hat, the cymbals, and the rest of the drum kit, while still maintaining all the low end, the punch, right, of the kick drum itself. So really, plugins nowadays have really come a long way lah. Okay, all right, okay. So pretty happy with that. Let's just move on. So let's go on with the kick. Now I said that I don't put any compression on the individual kick drums, but I will do a little bit of limiting. So what I love to use will be this little guy here called Lil Clipper. This is from Boss Digital Labs. So this is just going to be a limiter just to kind of clip out and limit the very peaks of the kick drum lah. Okay, not a lot, just tiny touch. So let's go. Let's see. So I just want to catch the very tops, and in fact not all the time as well, just maybe the loudest hits. Yeah, that's all right. So that's pretty much all what it's going to do. So now a little bit of EQ. I'm going to high pass at 20. Ooh, I can hear like a loud motorbike or race car coming through. All right, so let's EQ this. Okay, so there is a bit of the boxiness coming from the kick drum at about 125 hertz. So let's cut that out first. Right, let's widen the Q a little bit. Let's do that one more time. Okay, at about 868, about 870, there is a little bit of a resonance that's kind of like maybe coming a little bit from the snare, or it could be a little bit of resonance from there, but I'm kind of hearing a little bit of frequency there. So that's it, pretty much. That's all that's needed for that. So let's bring in back the kick drum sample. So all right, just lower it down a little bit. So now here what I'm doing is I'm just layering the kick drum underneath just to give it that layer of power and consistency. Look, the recorded kick drum was already great. It was already fantastic on its own. All right, so sample replacement, right, you can fulfill different functions lah. You can do it for corrective reasons. If let's say the recording wasn't good, or the drummer is not consistent, right, sample replacement helps that. But in this, on the other hand, you can also use it for creative reasons, right? Creative purposes. So here it's right helping to enhance the original performance, okay? Not to replace it. So again, check out that video, okay, which I did on my channel. There we go. Nice, okay? All right, so very quickly, I'm going to move on right away, all right? I'm going to head on down to the overheads, okay? So I mix the way that I do. I always do it top down first. I'd rather get the overall drum sound and then only blend in the rest of the drum kit. So let's check it out. So same thing, right? Virtual tape machine and also the virtual mix rack, the console and preamp emulation there. And let's link up these two channels, the overhead left and right. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, let's go over back to the group. In fact, let me bring the group down over here so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. Let me bring the drum group down here. Let me bring all these, let me just bring all these groups down here so it's a little bit easier for me to navigate as well. So snare is there. Toms will be here. Overheads will be down here. Room will be down here. Okay, yeah, so it's a little bit easier for me to navigate as well. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, let's go with, let's check the overheads. Let's flip the polarity and see. Okay. Okay, that's pretty much fine. Okay, either way also sounds good. Now, on this group, I have here, right, I love putting in this. This is the Aosis E2 de-esser. Right, this also comes with the everything bundle from Slate Digital. So a de-esser, as we know, okay, most of the time, right, primarily it can be used for de-essing vocals, right, the sibilant sounds that's coming from vocals. But de-essers are also very, very, very useful in handling pretty much any sort of frequencies that poke out or jut out, okay? So here, I'm just going to add in a tiny touch of that just to sort of massage the overheads a little bit, okay? Just to tip it down. Every time the crash hits, right, it's just going to tone down the extreme or the highs just by a tiny touch. So let's check it out and see, all right? Okay, let's bring the sensitivity down a bit. Right, so here, let's leave it so when it crashes, yeah, okay, just to massage the high end a little bit, a tiny touch. Okay, let me check that out again because I've got a feeling that my left is slightly skewed a little bit louder. Okay, so let me just try and balance it out. Maybe up by half a dB. About just 1 dB, I think. Maybe more. Let's go again. Yeah, there. It's about 1.8 dB, okay? So it might have been skewed a little bit. This was recorded like 8 years ago, you know, the drums here were recorded 8 years ago. Maybe, you know, I might have been a little bit careless over there. Okay, but yeah, that's why we can make some compensations. Okay, nice. Okay, so now I also have here, this is a kick out microphone. So usually I have, sometimes I will have another mic that's roughly about 1 meter away from the front of the kick. So this is going to be used to sort of capture the more of the bottom, the sub energy. So let's check it out. Let's see how it sounds like. This one, I'm pretty much going to roll off all the top end from it. Yeah, as you can hear. So I'm going to roll off everything. I don't need 20 below. And that's it. About 147, 140 plus is a bit of the resonance. So this is just purely going to be for the bottom end, okay? Probably need to just add a bit of the sub here. Now, you need to be listening to this on a, obviously, you need to have a good pair of headphones or earphones, or if you have the luxury of listening to this on a pair of monitor speakers, then you'll be able to hear this. Right, this kind of low frequency stuff, which is sub frequency, you might not be able to hear. They're definitely not going to be here if you're just watching on this, right, on a mobile phone or a smartphone. Okay, so just a tiny touch. We're going to like add a bit of weight to it. At about 60 hertz, okay? So that's kind of where the fundamental of the kick drum is. So this is just going to add a tiny touch. Yeah, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, now let's move on then with the snare drum. Okay, so same thing. Make sure, let's save this first. Let's pop in the same plugins. Let's blend it in. Okay, this is the verse. Right, I will give the same treatment. Now for this one, I don't think I'm not gonna gate this. I would rather keep all the bleed and all that. But we just roll off a little bit of the top end. Sweet. Now in fact, I feel like I could probably give it a little bit of saturation, just to give it a bit of energy. And let's do so here with the BX Saturator. Okay, let's just solo it. Let's saturate a little bit more. Okay, nice. Just to give it a bit of bite, okay? Now, in fact, probably could EQ it a little bit, tiny bit. Let's go with the FGA. This is the API model. Let's have the filter on. 200. Just to give a bit of weight. Nice, okay. 7K. There you go. Alright. Yeah, this really opens it up a little bit. Okay. The ring is cool. I love the left keep the ring there. Okay. So let's move on with the snare bottom. And now snare bottom, let's just add it in just to give it a capture more of the rattle. Let's take a listen how it sounds like. Okay, there's this at about 890 hertz. Let's get rid of that. And another one. It's about 1.2K, a little bit of a kind of those ringing kind of a sound over there. Let's blend in the snare bottom. Okay, let's flip the polarity, just checking. Okay, much better, right? Much more better low end down there, right? Let's see. Oh, right. I caught at the corner of my eye, right? Dede, hi Dede. Thanks for joining in, bro. Hope you're doing fine. Last week, alright, I actually mixed Dede's a brand new song on last week's episode of MixStream 13. So if you wanna, right, after this, right, you can not only check it out, right? You can check out the episode featuring Dede's brand new song that I mixed last week as well. The mix is done. We're just doing a couple more tweaks between the both of us, and right, hopefully it'll be out real soon. And we also have Hazlan. Hazlan, hey, hi man. Hazlan was one of our patrons, and also one of our students on the Direct Access Music Production Workshop. Thanks for joining in, man. Stay safe over there, bro. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Hi-hat. Now, honestly, from listening back the overheads as well, even in the rough mix, if you notice, I actually didn't even bring the hi-hat up. So because the overheads, right, was really capturing the entire kit really, really well, I was very happy with the way it sounds already. Okay, so there are two conditions though. Now, first of all, of course, right, your drummer needs to be very, very good and very, very balanced, like dynamics wise. Okay, it's consistency in the dynamics, the balance between, right, the kick, the snare, and especially things like the cymbals and hi-hat. The drummer needs to be consistent, and yeah, I have a very consistent drummer in the form of Rudy. Okay, and then secondly, right, your miking, your capture microphone needs to be right good as well, right? So you need to be able to capture the overall drum kit, right, appropriately. So that's why I didn't add it in. So I guess let's just leave it in first. What it will help, and most of the time the hi-hat mic, okay, it's more of giving it a little bit of localization, so that you can sort of localize where the hi-hat is a little bit better. It's not so much to do with volume, right, or levels, because so much of the hi-hat already comes in on the overheads. So let me just check it out. Yeah, let's just roll off all the bottom end. Okay, it's got about 1.9K. So, okay, right, just a tiny touch so that it will kind of localize the hi-hat on the left lah, okay, a little bit better, right? Left when you're watching this on my side, but on my left it's here, okay? Nice. Okay, moving on, let's go in, let's add the room microphone, so same treatment. Let's add in the tape and console emulation. So the room mics, okay. By the way, if you want to watch about how I do drum recording, again, the video is actually right in part of the Direct Access Music Production Workshop series, okay, in the playlist. So check it out there. So let's add in some of the room microphones. Just a tiny bit. Okay, because I don't want to swamp out the drums too much. I want to keep it a little bit punchy. Okay, so just a tiny touch. Let's check out the EQ slightly. So I don't need all the bottom end. Okay, this ringing. $1.6K. And about 1.9K. Now all the top end as well. Let's take all the top end off from 10K above lah. Right? So we don't need all the extreme high end. Okay, let's go. Okay, now sweet. Now next thing, I'm going to add a bit of reverb. And where am I going to add the reverb on? Not on the individual, right? I'm going to add the reverb actually on the overhead. So this is a sort of a technique which I kind of learned from watching Chris Laudelch. This is what he does. He adds his reverb not on the closed mics. He adds it on the overhead microphones. So this is Steinberg's Reverence. This is a convolution reverb. So convolution reverb, what it does is that it uses impulse responses, right? IRs for short. And with IRs, there are two things. You can sample, you can capture the impulse response of not only hardware units. So let's say you have a particular hardware unit, either an effect unit, some kind of a outboard device, or even a guitar amp or a speaker cabinet. right? But you can also use impulse responses to capture, right, the characteristics of a real live acoustic spaces. Okay, so for example, as you can hear, right, the default preset is LA Studio. But let's browse it, right? Let's check it out. Let me go through. Right, let's import actually. Let me go to my IR libraries. By the way, right, if you want to, let me just show you where my IR libraries is. But if you sign up to my email list, again, it's down in the description below. If you sign up to be part of the mailing list, okay, you are gonna get access to all my impulse library, right? My IR libraries, okay, and also my snare drum library as well. Okay, you can download it for free if you sign up through the mailing list. So let's check it out. I am gonna go for, let's look for where the Lexicon 480 is, and I'm gonna go for large wood room. Let's check it out how it sounds. Okay, now previously you know that a lot of time I go for the Yamaha SPX 990, but let's try something a little bit different in here. So this is the Lexicon 480. So basically this is, right, what they do is they send an impulse response to this particular preset of the Lexicon 480, and through convolution, right, you are getting, right, the preset of a Lexicon 480 lah. So let's check it out. This will be sent all the way. Let's see. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Ooh, hello. That's a nice big sound. So probably a bit too much. And about there for now. Okay. Later, when we add on all the other elements, probably we may need to bring it up. But right, for now, that's probably enough. Okay, nice. Okay, so here's a tip which you can try. Okay, so putting the reverb on the overhead, the justification for doing it is so that you don't, you don't rob away any of the immediacy or the punch of the kick and the snare if you are adding, let's say, reverb onto the direct snare chain. Okay, so it pretty much makes sense actually. So I'm gonna that's what we're doing here. So let me just EQ the reverb a little bit. I want to take away a bit more of the. Let me just solo the reverb. It's pretty good actually. I don't think you need to do much, but maybe just. At about 3K, just a tiny notch over there. Yeah, but all that ring, okay, that's really cool, right? Sometimes ring and resonances and overtones from a snare drum can be a good friend. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to always, right, deaden or kill the rings and overtones. It sometimes gives life to the drum kit, you know? So let's move on to, let's go on with the toms. Okay. Right. Shoot. Okay, now I've forgotten a couple of things. Now I didn't manage to do this. Now the little bit of a background and story. You might be wondering, why am I mixing this song again, JD? Why didn't you mix this song last time when you put the album? No, actually not. Right. So the first version of the mix for this song was actually done by an engineer and a mixer by the name of Dylan Ellie. Okay, so Dylan Ellie is all the way, if I'm not mistaken, he's somewhere in Texas right now. He's now moved to Texas. He has set up his own studio there. I still kind of keep in touch and follow his updates. Right, he's got his own studio down in deep in the heart of Texas. Okay, all right, down in Texas. So he was one of the touring, if I'm not mistaken, again, memory, this is like 8 years ago. Okay, he's was a touring engineer with, if I'm not mistaken, with Linkin Park. You know, one of the touring engineers. So a lot of the pre-production for live shows and recordings and demos, he would actually be involved in it. So right, so he actually mixed the previous version of the song back then in 2012. So let's but when we decided to, when me and the boys decided to redo this and add all the new guitars and stuff like that, there was no way we couldn't kind of go back to get him to redo it, you know. So we just decided, let's just make it a totally different mix. So you know, here we are today. Okay, so a couple of things I want to do. Let me just very quickly clean this up. Now, I should have done this previously, earlier, beforehand, but I didn't get down to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up all the tom hits lah, alright? So now, okay, so there are different approaches and schools of thoughts to doing this, right? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to talk while I'm doing this, right? This doesn't need my ears lah while doing it. So the one approach is that you silence and you strip silence the tom tracks whenever the toms are not playing. So that's one school of thought which you can do. So in the past you can either use gates, right? But gates are very unreliable, right? Because it's unpredictable, because you set a certain setting in my work and for certain tom hits, but then at other times it might accidentally not open in time or do so. So right, with the advent of digital audio recording and hard disk recording and DAWs, you can so much easier. You can always just edit and edit out the silence. But I don't want, okay, and the opinion here is that I don't really want to totally eliminate, right, the silence and that's coming from the drum tracks here, the tom tracks here, because actually these all the bleed, all the sound that's coming in from the different mics, they form a kind of a glue. They actually glue the drum sound together, right? Stand in front of a drum kit. Try standing in front of a drum kit, right, of a real drum kit, and listening to how it sounds. You hear that, right? Even when you are not playing the toms, you're playing just a kick, snare, and hi-hat kind of a groove, right? The toms are ringing, right? So every time when you're playing it, naturally the toms will ring a little bit, okay, and all the different resonances that's coming up from the entire drum kit as well. So this actually helps to glue the sound of a drum kit together, right? A real drum kit will always have all these kind of ringing and resonances and everything. That's really what helps make a real drum sound alive and real, instead of something that's too clean, that's super sanitized, where you strip silence everything. So what I do here is I am just editing and chopping it up. So I'm keeping as you can see, the toms, I'm keeping it in, but the rest of the track, right, I am just turning down all the bleed, all the leakage. So the leakage in here, right, is leakage, as I say, right? Some people say, right, bleed can be your friend. Bleed or leakage can be your friend. It helps to glue sound together. It helps to make the sound it helps to make things sound cohesive instead of separated, instead of isolated. It makes things sound like they gel together as one. But too much of it, obviously, right, is not good as well. So let me just check this. Okay, this one, let's chop this out when the snare hits. So what I want to do is that I want to bring the bleed under control. Okay, so whenever the cymbals start to come in, we will chop it out. Okay, here we go. Here's a little bit more. Okay, bear with me, yeah? This will be a few minutes. So I roughly turn the bleed down. Okay, about sometimes in between 10 to 15 dB. So again, it's entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong. Now, and speaking of right or wrong, this method is also, again, not a hard and fast rule. So if you not someone who does it, then don't. Okay, so you don't have to. Okay, now this track looks, the whole song looks like, I don't think there's actually no, there's actually no floor tom, right? Actually, so there's only like 2 toms here. Right. When we wrote this song, we wanted it to be very, very stripped down, very, very acoustic. Jamir just sat down with his acoustic guitar, wrote the song. I think he even, like, if I'm not mistaken, he even did like a rough demo on his iPad, using one of the apps, using GarageBand. And in fact, right, he still does, he like comes up with some ideas on his iPad, and then and then he shares it with us, and it's really, really cool, right? we did. This is there's so many tools out there to write and create and compose music. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be need to have a degree or a qualification in audio engineering or music production to be able to do this. It's the tools out there are so simple out there right now, and there's many resources, many platforms where you can learn how to record, mix, and master. For example, watching this channel, on the live streams that I have, plus all the other videos, right? Hopefully, I'll be able to share a little bit of what I know, and hopefully you can learn as well. So there you go. Pretty much done with the drums. Okay. Now, if this is the case, let's mute the tom tree track then. Okay, let's do a disable so we don't really need it. Okay, let's check out the toms right now. So same thing. Let's chuck in the tape and console emulation. Let's find a spot where the drums are doing a nice roll. So maybe in the middle here. Maybe another spot. Okay, maybe this one. Maybe a bigger drum. Okay, nah, this is fine. Right, just a single tom hit. So let's check first of all. All right, I want to double check, and make sure that the phase is correct. So let's flip the polarity and let's see. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, definitely. So what we want to hear is that, the if the phase coherency is there, if the phase relationship is correct, you will have a lot more low end and bottom end. It's a little bit more solid, it's more full, it's more bottom end, it's more low end. If I flip this, you immediately hear that it sounds a bit hollow, it's a bit thinned out. Now, sometimes that might be the appropriate sound that you're going for. So again, there's no right or wrong. But generally speaking, if you want a much more fuller sound, we will always check your phase. We check the polarity. So I'll play that again for you again. Let's listen to it, okay? So this is original. This is how it was recorded, with the polarity non-inverted, okay? I'll play this. Okay? Good solid bottom. And then when I flip the polarity, you hear it's a bit hollowed out, okay? It does funny things as well. It kind of pulls it a little bit further out, because maybe you get less of the bottom end. The bottom end, lower frequencies tend to pull towards the center, whereas some higher, mid, and high frequencies tend to stretch things out. You can always use this kind of this sort of thing to your advantage as well. But let's keep it a little bit more solid lah. That's what I want for drums. A little bit more solid, a little bit more bottom end. So let's keep it there. So now let's just solo the tom. The first tom. We can mute the overheads. Okay. Some of the resonance here at about 200 hertz. Other than that, that's all that's needed, man. Okay, so now I want to give it a bit of more bottom to the toms, and one of the favorites that I'm going to use is the Bark of Dog. Okay, so this is a plugin also by Boss Digital. So what this does is that it also, you've seen it, I've used it many times. I always love to use this on on toms, on low frequency instruments, anything that I want to sort of enhance the low frequency. So what I'm going to do, let's do a bit about 5 dB. So I'm going to try to listen to where the center frequency is, okay? So I'm going to pull this up. Let's see where we're going to boost it. $170. Okay, so about 170. So what I'm trying to hear is that it reaches a point where you hear the boost, but then when you pull it down further, it doesn't seem to boost it anymore. So that's kind of where the frequency that you want. So let me check and see. Am I correct or not? Okay. Right. Let's do it. So I was doing it blind. I was not looking at the RTA. Right. As you can see. Let's see. Is it about 170? It's about there. It's about 150 plus. Right. A little bit off. Okay. But yeah. That's fine. Okay. 150, that's cool. Now let's check classic, passive, combo. Let's go with the passive one. So passive will be more of a characteristic of the Pultec EQ, the bottom of the Pultec. Okay. Okay, let's go. Okay, cool. Let's go with this floor tom. Let's do the same thing. Okay. Let's insert the plugins. Let's solo and just verify and make sure. Okay, definitely better, right? The way it originally is, lah. Okay, let's EQ it a little bit. Floor toms will have a little bit more overtones. About 290, 288 hertz. And about 890. Alright, very cool. Same thing. Let's put in the balls. Bark of dog. Let's check out where this should go. Okay. Now let's try concentrating a little bit better now. Okay. This is closer to about 90 or 100. Let's see. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So this time I was paying attention a little bit better lah, so I could hear where it is. So let's keep it about that. Classic. Let's listen. Passive. Combo. Combo means it's a combination of the two. It's different EQ curves or filter curves down there. I think combo, right? Because I don't want to make it too muddy, right? So this is a combo. Let's check it out. Listen to the tom roll. Tom roll again. Probably the first tom, the high tom needs to be a touch softer. Maybe a bit more on the floor tom. Okay. So as I mentioned, right, these also goes to a tom group as well. Okay. So a lot of stuff. The snares are all subgroup to a snare, right? The toms are all subgroup to toms. Is all subgroup. I actually explained why the reason, and you can see my workflow right on one of my earliest videos, right? It's called the Cubase Project Template 2020. So do head on down and check it. Okay. Now that's still on Cubase 10.5 though, right? So Cubase 11 just came out like 2 days ago, so I have not updated yet, but if you want to see a video on that, well, let me know, okay, in the comments, right? Maybe I'll definitely be upgrading to Cubase 11, right? Maybe I'll do a little overview and check out all the new features, but it really looks super exciting. Okay. Let's head back to there. We're still on the drums. Let's check it out. Okay, very cool. Now I have not actually added in the snare drum sample, so this is, I'll say, another sample. Let's check it out. Okay, so I'm gonna again, it's sounding pretty good. I love the way the snare sounds already. Okay, just by itself. So just adding in this case, right? Again, Rudy's a great drummer, very consistent, very powerful and punchy with his hits. So samples in this case is just to enhance the original performance. It's not there to replicate it. So let's check it out. Yeah, just gives that a little bit extra punch. Sweet. Okay, that's pretty much the entire drum mix. Okay, now having said that, I don't put any compression on the individual drum tracks. I will put a little bit of compression on the overall drum bus. Okay, and what I'm going to use here is the API 2500. This is really I love the sound on this on the drum bass lah. Okay, so let's check it out. I already have pretty much a setting which I go to. So let's listen to how it sounds. Let's say maybe from the verse. Check it out. Let's bypass. Okay, cool. You can hear? Let's bypass it. Okay, so it's really clamping down, especially when the snare hits. Okay, but I like the tone that it's doing, but it's clamping down a little bit too much. So let's open it up. Okay, let's open it up. So what we do is let's increase the attack time, because at the moment the fastest attack time, this is like 0.03 milliseconds. This one really slams down on the transients. So I want to allow a little bit of the transient of the snare back through. Okay, so let's just bring it up a little bit. 0.1, maybe a bit more, 0.3. Let's go 1 millisecond. Okay, with 1 millisecond, you get the transient back, but you have a little bit of compression. Okay, let's bypass. Okay, yeah, it's definitely a lot more solid with this, with the compression on. Okay, so right, sometimes it's just as simple as a matter of just playing around with your attack time, okay, to sort of allow some of the transient through, because previously before that it was definitely squashing the attack of the drums a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna let the transient through. Okay, right, now later on the master bus there's going to be a little bit more. I'll talk about it later once we get there. So pretty much that's it. There we go. Okay, now later on I may feel if I may need to add a bit of reverb to the toms and all that, we will add that later, but for now this is good. So as the saying goes, right, you've heard me say this like a countless times, you set and you don't forget. Okay, that means you set something, but always bear in mind and keep in mind that, you know, whatever actions or whatever things that you perform or you do will have some maybe some consequences, right, or effects later down the line. So let's move on. Okay, moving on. Let's go with the bass. Time for bass. Okay, I'm gonna be plugging in the same thing, right? So this bass was played by AJ, and I think we actually re-recorded the bass back here in KL. So let's check it out. This is this. I wonder, is this the sound of the amp? Do we use an amp? And this is the DI. Interesting. Okay. Okay, now, so with both, I'm going to filter out the low end and the bottom end first. So with the bass amp, what I want to do is I probably want to saturate this a little bit more. Just give a bit more of overtones, a bit of drive to it. So we can do so by... okay, I know. Let's not use the FG73. Let's go with the virtual tube collection. Let's go with the London. So there's a setting here which is called Bass Tubey Magic. Okay, it's just a preset lah. Okay, nothing wrong with using presets. This is a starting point, and then tweak and we modify out there. Let's saturate it all the way. Push. Let's have 100% mix. Still not really doing as much as I hoped it to do. Okay, I think I know what I need to do. Let's run it through a trimmer. And let's drive this baby a little bit more. Okay, sorry, it might be getting a little bit loud. Okay, let me turn the volume down. Let me compensate here. Okay. Oops, I accidentally pushed the -18. Okay, let's bring this down. Okay, let's have a high pass so that it doesn't distort all the low frequency. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Let's check it out again. Let's bypass it and see. Yeah, in fact, it's giving a little bit of extra bite to it. Okay, now with the amp, okay, I can't really remember. I think it's possible that we might have recorded using an amp, combining an amp and with the DI on this one. So definitely a couple of things I need to check out later, right? So in fact, let's not later. Let's do it right now, okay? So what I mean by that is, because this is probably a combination of an amp and a DI, we might need to check the phase relationship between the two, okay? So what happens is that the DI, right, if you take a look, let's try and zoom in and see. Let's take a look at the waveform, and if my suspicion is correct, okay, so the bottom one is the DI. So as you can see, the peak here, it is slightly earlier than the amp track. And the reason for this is really, really simple, right? Because the DI, you are going from the instrument, the bass, right into the DI, straight into your, recorded straight into the computer. Whereas on the amplifier, it's going up from the bass amp to the cable, out to the input of the amplifier, to the amp circuitry, out, right, from the speaker cone, right, mechanically, right, it has to push the speaker cone out again, into the mic, back. So the entire signal path, right, actually takes a much longer trip. So that's why when you see here, the amp track is a little bit later, it's slightly later. Now there are a couple of ways which you can fix this. One of the ways is, and I think one of the next videos I'll do, right, is to explain how I will do this lah. Okay, now one of the ways is that we manually, so let's take a look, all right? So let's take a look at, let's say this is where the peak is. So we can always just manually pull the waveform a little bit front. Let's see, let's look at where the peak is. Roughly here. Yeah, okay. So roughly here. Let's take a listen to how it sounds, and we'll do a comparison. All right, so let's just solo the bass in this section. Okay, so this is when I moved it forward. Let's undo. Okay, so this is without. So let's redo the move. Let me zoom in again so I can make sure that it is happening. So let's redo the move. Let's check it out. So this is when I move it. This is undo. Let's undo it. There's a slight, it's very, very subtle. It's very, very slight. Okay, there's a very, very slight difference between the two. When it is slightly out, there's a tiny, there's a little bit of hollowing out, but it's not as much that it really bothers me so much. So if you ask me, in my opinion, I'll be perfectly fine with just leaving this and not messing around with the phase and the timing correction. Right, just by the way it is already sounds good. So now, but I will want to try and use another tool Okay, so there is another tool which which I use very, very frequently, and that is, so let's just leave this original. All right, so you can see the amp track is slightly delayed compared with the DI. Let's just leave it there. Okay, have that trimmed in. So what I'm going to use now is a plugin called Waves in Phase. Okay, so it's under Tools, In Phase Stereo, because I'm going to be comparing, right, two tracks. Okay, so this bass, right, the amp is panned left, the DI is panned right, and let's listen to how it sounds. Okay, stereo bass. Okay, okay, now that's very weird. Okay, stereo bass, you know, all the phase cancellation thing, it's a bit odd. So let's check it out. First of all, let's see the comparison of the phase here. Okay, right. So very easy. How we do it is that you run the signal that you want to check the phase and analyze, and you, all right, make sure that we capture it. Okay, let's press play, capture, give it a couple of seconds, and voila, there you go, it's done. Right, just a couple of seconds. So we can zoom into the waveform. Let's zoom in vertically, let's zoom in horizontally as well. Okay, so you will be able to see, right, the same element lah. Okay, where is it? Oh, it's too zoomed too far in already. Now I cannot really see it. Okay, there we go. So let's look for a transient here. Yeah, perhaps this first little transient. So you can see this similarly, right? It's a little bit late. Now, this can be very helpful because here we have a correlation meter. So generally speaking, if you have a positive phase correlation, it's good. Okay. So if you see blue here, blue, it means positive. So we got a value of 0.08, right? So it's good. So it's generally a positive correlation. Now, if it goes to negative, right, negative values, it means that there's a lot more phase cancellation, there's a lot more comb filtering going on, and that's right, that might be a problem lah. So let's try and see what happens if we flip the phase on this. See, automatically it goes into a negative, so it kind of tells you that, right, that's probably not the best thing to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delay the DI track so that I will try to match it. So that I will sync it. All right. So this is a lot more precise than using the manual way. I personally think it is. So I prefer to delay the DI instead of advancing the amp track. Again, to me it sounds and it feels better, right? So let's just push this back, and you should, in theory, see the correlation value here, the blue, increase. So let's try and find where the best value will be. Okay. It's not increasing, it's decreasing. It's actually getting worse. Oh, it's actually getting worse. See, so this is not necessarily always right based on what you see. Okay, telling you the truth, what's the best. Okay, let's pull this back and see what if we actually. Okay, let's keep it back to 0, no delay. It's actually pretty good. Let's try to maybe let's advance this and see. Do we get any better? Does it get any better? It gets a tiny touch better. 0.11, 0.12. Interesting. 14, 15, 17, 18, 20. That's interesting. Now, but that's a lot. That's like 3 milliseconds or so. Okay, so the most that we get is up to, how much is that? 2.1 milliseconds. That's interesting. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen, right, and see how this sounds. So here, the amp track, I am delaying it further by 2 milliseconds, right? So let's remember this, 2.1 milliseconds, okay? Right? 2.1 milliseconds. Let's check it out. So let's bypass this first. Okay, so on the bass, now in Cubase here on the inspector, we have this sector here which introduces the track delay. So 2.1. Let's insert that. Let's see how it sounds with 2.1. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Okay, of course, mono it, right? We don't want stereo bass there. Okay, let's go back to 0. Let's listen to it. Huh, interesting. It actually is a little bit more solid, so surprising. Okay, all right, so this is probably the first time I've encountered a situation where I had to delay it by that much. Delaying the amp track actually kind of makes it sound better, a little bit fatter actually. Okay, so let's go with it. Okay, let's go with it. Interesting, right? So that's these are things which you always, sound does not necessarily always behave in the way that you expect it, right? Not necessarily the way that you expect it. So again, there's no hard and fast rules. There's always guidelines. There are rules of thumb, right? Saying that okay, you do this generally do that. But in the end, you always have to listen and to use your ears and to, right? Sometimes bending these rules, okay, bending the rules that are out there, will give you a much more better sound. So in this case, it's totally doing something unexpected, right? Delaying it by 2.1 milliseconds actually makes the bass a little bit fatter. Okay, now from the bass track, I will want to reduce some of the low end. Okay, because what I want to do is I want to get most of the actual bottom end from the DI track, like the real bottom end, the 100 hertz below, because it's usually a little more cleaner. Okay, let's do it. Right, so that the amp track will be generally more of, right, the upper mids. And let's blend in the bass DI. Let's see how it goes right now. Nah, no. Okay, see again, it's something that's different from what I usually expect. I kind of prefer it just keeping it the way it is then, right? Let's just keep it the way it is. Just a high pass filter at 20. That sounds better, man. That sounds better then. Yeah. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just leave the EQ the way it is, okay? Now, okay, let's move on. And wow, who else is in there? Yay! All right, Rudy is here, man. All right. Okay, Rudy. All right. As I mentioned, right, is our drummer for my band for Pop Shop and Project E.A.R. Thanks for shouting out. Okay. Too much room, he comments. Okay. Yeah, of course there's too much room now because there's no other instruments inside. There's no other elements inside it. If you're listening on just the drums on its own right now, usually there's going to be, when it's just on its own, it's a little bit too much. But once you blend everything else in, it'll just be right. Okay, don't worry. Okay, what's in there? Right, Chris is back here. Okay. And Chris was also said that, hey Moods, hey Rudy, Chris here. Chris can shoot. All right. Hopefully we can meet up together again and do another photo shoot. Chris was there as well during our the second album which we did. We had and he helped to document and the recording process lah, right, with his camera. So, dude, Jamir is crazy fast with his hooks. Yeah, you were there and you experienced it, right? How fast that Jamir works. Okay, now let's move on with the bass. Okay, cool. So next thing, with the on the bass group, you have the I have Waves C4. So C4 is a multi-band compressor. What I'm using it in here for is I am just using a single band of the C4. Right, what I'm going to do is basically everything below 180 hertz, I'm going to be using this as a compressor just to compress the very, very bottom low end. Okay, all the other bands are bypassed, so they're not they're essentially, right, not affecting the signal lah. So just compressing the bottom end. What this does is that, right, it avoids having the rest of the compressors later in the chain to having to do too much heavy lifting lah. Okay, so let's put that in. Just a touch more. So it's just a couple of dB, right, just to bring the bottom end in control. Alright, so next thing let's gonna chuck in here would be the Surfer EQ. So Surfer EQ, I've explained before, this is an intelligent EQ that, you know, can track the frequencies right inside the audio that you are working with. So let's solo the bass. So what I'm gonna do here is, let's go with the narrowest bandwidth. What I want to do is I want to sort of maybe bring down a little bit of the overtones, okay? Because this is this bass here. Let's bring the overtones down a little bit. So the fifth overtone, so right, so it automatically tracks, right? So let's bring this down. It's a very, very powerful tool. Okay, I feel that the kick could be a little bit more. Yeah, just bring the kick up a tiny touch. Let's see, let's go now. So next thing I want to chuck in would be the UAD 1176 revision A. Okay, so let's drive this in. Let's give this a good squash, okay? Okay, gain reduction on. Let's get rid of the in phase. Nice, okay, so it's really sitting in nicely. I feel like it still needs a little bit of grit lah. This bass, it's too clean. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add more amp emulation to it actually. So what we have over here would be in fact this guy, yes, the black box. Okay, so this is also another saturator. This is a fantastic saturator actually, right? This is amazing. So let's just solo the bass. Let's work on the bass just to give it a bit of, I feel it needs a little bit more drive to it. Saturation frequency. Let's go flat, right? So it's more of a flat frequency response first. Ooh, okay, that's a bit much. Okay. You can hear a little bit of the bass, so this is what tells me that this was a real amp, you see. Just bring it up a little bit more. Let's go with the alt tube. Should we add a bit of air? Interesting. Okay, let's add a bit more of that. Okay. Let's bypass. Listen in context. It's a tiny touch, a little bit, but let's see again. Right? Maybe you feel add in, maybe I need to add a little bit more later on down the line, down here. Let's move on first. Let's set, but don't forget. Okay, let's move on. So next thing I want to do is put a bit of bass rider. Okay, so bass rider, this will be 2, right? Again, do a little bit of fine tune control over the level of the bass so that it's really even. Okay, so. Sweet, okay, that's just about nice. Probably MV2, let's bring in MV2. So MV2 here is one of my favorite plugins. You hear me rave about it so often, right? And it does a lot of wonderful things, okay? It's a combination of like an expander, like parallel processing, and the combination of it, what it helps do is going to help to add a little bit more energy, right? So low level compression and high level is got, basically it's only got three faders, right? Three controls: low level, high level, output. So high level is the normal compression which you will think of, right? Any sound that any audio that exceeds a threshold, it will compress it down. But low level here is sort of like expansion and also parallel processing. What it does, it helps to bring up all the low level elements. Okay, so let's just drive this up and see. We can make the bass a little bit more exciting this way. So again, I want to squeeze out the energy from it. Basically, this is what it's going to do. I'm liking it. So obviously it is making it louder, so we need to compensate the volume. It's adding a bit more sustain. Bringing out a little bit of the mids, okay? Now, if you think we're not done yet, okay, I am definitely not done yet, okay? I feel like I want to give a little bit more bite, slightly more bite as well. So let's add in another, this is the New York Virtual Tube collection. So let's add a bit of saturation. Push it, normal. Okay, all right. Trim the output for about -2 dB. Okay, and where are we? Going into the verse. Okay, now it needs a bit of EQ. Let's EQ into the tube. Let's see what it is. There we go. Okay, let's trim it down a little bit. Bring the hi-hat up. Nice. Sweet. Okay, cool. That's the kick and that's the drums and the bass for now. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. So we got a couple of other instruments that are down underneath. So originally we had it a little bit more acoustic wise. The electric elements was a bit different. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of electrify it a little bit more. So next thing I want to do, let's chuck in this little piano. All right, so a little piano that was going underneath. Let's see. Let's just do a little bit of high pass down here. Tiny touch of the reverb. And a bit of VQ. It's a bit of a bite, about 4 dB at about 3K. Okay, very cool. All right, so we're gonna bring in the clean delay. So this is kind of the original guitar hook, right? It's a kind of a plucking pattern that was in the song. So let's bring this in. This is just a very simple clean guitar delay. Let's plug in the same thing and let's check it out. Okay, here we go. Just a tiny touch at 2.3. Let's roll off a bit of the highs. So I can't really remember whether this was recorded with whether this was just recorded direct or DI. Probably, you know, we probably recorded this guitar over in Bali, because what we brought over was we brought over the guitar, brought the interface, brought the microphones, and if I remember, I was using a Line 6, the Pod HD Pro, the rack mounted version. So we brought that along as well. Okay, so this is probably the sound of the pod. Okay, this could probably use with a little bit of chorusing. So let's try and add a bit of the chorus in there. Well, there is some chorus in it already, but maybe I need to spread it out a bit. So how are we gonna do that? So we just use the Super Tap Room. Let's check it out. Yeah, that helps to give a bit of room. Nice. Okay, let's quickly move on. All right, so next thing would be the guitars. So now the main difference between the newer mix which I'm going to be doing is that we want it to be a lot more heavier guitar with the electric guitar oriented lah. Okay, so we're going to bump this up. So these guitars were done by Leanne, guitarist from Slapshock. So let's check it out. Okay, so a lot more heavier, right? A lot more heavier tone that we were using. Now I think I just want to shave off a little bit of the top end. Sounds good already on its own, you know? Right? So the tones that he always sends me, right? Always pretty much, you don't need to do much, okay? So let's trimmer, probably need to, yeah, okay. What I want to get is I want to aim for about -18, so get my gain structure right. It's about 12 dB. $15 dB actually. Okay, so let's bring it up to about 15 dB. Yeah, okay, so it kind of drives the channel and the preamp a little bit more. So get a little bit more of that drive out of it. So let's copy the same setting. Now let's blend it in and let's see. right. Okay. Nice. Okay, right. As you can see, I'm kind of skipping over some of the other instruments first. Okay, now, so the distortion is all going into this group here. Let's try and fine tune some stuff. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to put a group here. So in this instance, right, again, I'm trying to sort of emulate the workflow, the signal flow inside an analog console. So this is going into the group. Okay, so there's this one. .650 Hz, it's kind of ringing continuously there. Do that cycle one more time. It's tiny bit at 3K. Now I feel that I want the guitars to be a little more thumpier on the bottom end. So let's try and do this. Let's use the Transient Designer. Okay, so Transient Designer is something that sometimes we use on drums, but you'll be surprised. You can also use it on guitar and basses as well. Is there something that we could use here? Let's see. Ooh, tight metal guitar riffs. Let's just try this baby and see what it does, okay? So, let me just see. It kind of, yeah, it does tighten it up a little bit, but it also kind of sucks in a little bit of the mids. So let me see what is it doing first of all, okay? Let me just look at the solo, the sidechain. Ah, right, okay, so it's kind of ringing in a little bit more of that, I see. So that's right. So when you bring the sustain down, it is kind of tightening up the low end. That's not what I want to do, because this is not like a chug. It's not like a fast chug. It's more of like a continuous drive. So what I actually want is a little bit more bottom, not less. So let's bring the sustain back up again. Let's look for the sidechain filter, and let's try where to set the frequency. Okay. Let's listen to that. Yeah, just to give that pick attack a little bit more definition over there, you know? A little bit more. Right, going to compensate the output gain a little bit. tiny touch more. There we go. All right, cool. So now that's pretty much most of the main the main rhythmic instruments that we're driving for. So I'm going to jump and skip a little bit forward first, okay? Because, right, as I mentioned, I always want to make sure that the vocal, right, comes in early, right? So I don't want to like fill up all the space and not leave any space for the vocal. So let's do this. So here we go. First thing with the vocal, I have my vocal chain, and right, if you watched, you already know what I'm going to introduce. So the first one would be let's turn all these down first. Okay, so it's basically the same, essentially the same approach. Again, I'm running through the virtual tape machine and the virtual mix rack with the console emulation, but instead of using the FG73, I'm using the Hollywood Virtual Tape Collection. Okay, this here is FG Stress. This is a distressor, and here I'm going to be doing a little bit of parallel compression on the vocal. I love parallel compression on vocals. Okay, so but first thing, let's just blend this in. Let's get the initial level.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night with the light. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly glowing in the dark, right from the very start. Hey.
Okay, right. Let's solo the vocals and I'll run you through the signal chain which I'm using, okay? So first one I have is TDR Nova. Again, one of my favorite plugins. This is a dynamic, right, parallel dynamic EQ. This is for free. You can download this for free, okay? It's available, right, for free as well. So what it does is that you can treat it like a normal 4-band parametric EQ, but it has got a very, very powerful dynamic EQ function as well, which I'll show you later. So first things first, okay, let's do a bit of high pass. Let's get rid some of the low.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the
Let's go with
night
12 dB per
with
octave.
the light. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a
I can hear a little bit of room because the vocals were recorded in one of the bedrooms. We converted one of the bedrooms. So the bedrooms, it has a tiled floor where the entire property has it's tiles on the floor, right? Obviously it's easier to clean, okay, right, because of the humid climate, right, in that area. So I can actually hear a little bit, and that's actually fine. It seems to be giving a little bit of the room sound recorded into it already. So in this case, we can make it actually helps. I can actually work with it. Okay.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start. Hey,
Okay, right. So there's one frequency which I can hear, which kind of pokes out sometimes right throughout the vocal. So this can sometimes be, again, it could be a combination of room. Sometimes it's the singers, the voice, their natural. Maybe some voices have natural resonances. When you hit certain notes, right, those frequencies tend to peak. It could be characteristics on mics. It could be a lot of other factors as well. Okay, so let's listen to it.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly.
It's about 637 hertz. That note there you hear. that kind. So sometimes it gives a little honkiness to it, so we want to kind of get rid of that. Okay, so we want to sort of reduce this a little bit. Let's check it out.
Going in the dark right from the very start.
So we engage the dynamic EQ by pressing on threshold. So there are two modes that you can go to. You can either go with split. So split means that it splits all the controls, the ratio attack with these controls splits. So you have individual separate controls for each 4 bands. But in this case, let's go with the wide band mode so that you have a single setting for all 4 bands, because that's we don't need to be so super detailed with that. Okay, so let's go with the wide band mode. Ratio goes to 3 to 1. My attack, I want it to be fastest. My release, I want this to be fastest, okay? Because I want, as soon as that frequency, that ringing frequency pops up, I want the dynamic EQ, I want TDR Nova to act on it. But as soon as it's gone, I want it to let it go, see? So dynamic EQs and dynamic processors like this are very powerful because they're very transparent. So they only kick in, they only act, they only boost or they cut only when it's necessary. And when it's not, right, it alters the it allows the audio to pass through unaltered. Okay, so very, very transparent, very, very powerful. Okay, let's try that again.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Right, that's the only thing I feel like we need to do. All right, for there.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars.
Okay, it's a little bit sibilant. Okay, slightly sibilant. Let's so the next thing I have here, this is sibilance from Waves. That they've actually put it out as a free plugin like last year or a couple months ago. No, last year I think. So for those of you who got it for free, right, that'll be cool. So let's check it out. So.
To survive, I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies going in the dark right from the very start. Hey,
let's bring it down a little bit more.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars.
Okay, cool. Just a tiny bit. Right, we can always add in a little bit more. You don't want to overdo it because otherwise you make the vocals sound like he's having a lisp. Okay, now the next thing here would be an instance of the R com, right? So what this is going to do is just to catch the super loudest peaks. Now, I'm actually going to fast forward to go to the second chorus because this first chorus, Jamie sings it a little bit lighter. So let's check and see how it sounds over here, okay? Whether we need to do something else.
I see you in the sky.
See, his delivery is different, right? A lot harder, right? A lot more aggressive compared to the first one. So let's check it out.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night.
All right, okay, see. So when Jamil, when the vocals push a little bit harder, right, it's pushing out some of the harsher harmonics at the top as well. So we'll probably need to put in another band. So let's check it out, okay?
You in the sky.
There.
Bright like stars in the night we collide.
At about 6.4, around that 6K range. It is a bit of it is some sibilance, but it's also a particular frequency there as well, which I can hear, okay?
I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark right from the very start.
Yeah, okay. So it helps to smoothen it out a little bit, all right? So just a side note, fun fact, okay? So actually, Jamir, when he's back, right, at home at their own studio back in Philippines, he uses the Shure SM7, the SM7B, because that really suits and works well with his vocals, you see. So here, I think I took my Audio-Technica 804050, right, because I knew it would be a good mic that will work on almost any kind of source on all the different vocalists, because, right, in this one band we have 3, sometimes 4 or 5, vocalists, 2 different voices. So right, I could only bring one mic over there, so I brought the Fail 4050, which I feel it's one of my favorite microphones right until this day, right? So it's really highly underrated, and I love it because it just works well on so many different sources. So, but on Jameer, it does cause it to be a little bit sibilant, so that's why you can sort of hear it, but it's not a big deal, okay? So anyway, back down to the RCOM, all right? What this is going to do is I just want it to just catch the tops, the very, very peaks of it. So let's check it out, okay?
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in a night we collide.
Yes.
I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies.
Very interesting. You can hear the room, right, of the the bedroom, the villa that we recorded in. But it's a short enough, right, and it's a complimentary enough, right, thing. Again, there's a video, right, of the behind the scenes, which we put it out a couple of years ago. You can check it out and see what we mean, what I mean by that, lah. Okay, so there we go, just to catch, and this is not going to do much, not more than 1 dB of gain reduction on the loudest parts. Okay, so let's just bring it back down. Listen.
Going in the dark, right from the very start. I see you in the sky, bright like stars in a night we collide. I need a light to survive.
Sweet. Okay, now cool. Very, very cool. So this is going to go to the a lead vocal group. Okay, let me just bring this down as well to show you guys. Now, for those who are regularly watching this, you might be wondering, you might be thinking, JD, are you going to do the vocal ticketing trick? Vocal ticketing trick? My answer is no. I'm not going to do this. Not on this song and not on this project. Now, for again, for more of Jameer's vocal here, I want to keep it a little bit more, more centered, a little bit mono. We not really want to go for that super wide thing. And if I'm gonna do it, which I will just use the doubler, right, and just add on a little bit of chorusing just to give it the extra width. Keep it a little bit more raw sounding, okay, right? So otherwise, if I put the vocal ticketing trick, right, and do all the different layers, it will add a little bit of makes it go towards a more popish kind of direction, which is pretty much not what we want here. So, okay, this is going to the lead vocal. So let's check it out.
I see you in the sky.
So first thing first, right? So this is going into the group. I have the 1176A. So this is again another setting. Slowest attack, fastest release. Let's check it out.
Bright like stars in a night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies, glowing in the dark, right from the very start. I fight.
Yeah,
you
that's
in the sky, bright like stars in a night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies, glowing in the dark, right from the very start. I fight.
okay, cool, right? Let's just add a little bit more. Now, I'm going to put the next thing I have is the pull tech. Now, this pull tech is actually before the EQ. So whatever I'm going to do here is going to affect the compression that's pushing into it. So it's a different kind of a sound, different kind of effect than just putting the EQ after the compressor. So it's something that you want to experiment, okay? But I kind of like it because this kind of changes the tone subtly of the vocal, right? Pushing into the compressor instead of post. I feel like I still want to tone down a little bit, so let me attenuate some of the highs here a little bit more. So in this instance, definitely that's why I think a vocal a microphone like an SM7 would probably have been a better choice, right? But I didn't have that with me lah, okay, at that time, so right. So we'll just work with what we have. Needs a little bit more body.
Going in the dark, right from the very start. A fight
Let's give a bit more bottom.
just to stay alive. You in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly going in the dark, right from the very start. Hey.
Okay, all right. So, right, all this compression and a little bit of EQ is kind of bringing up the sibilance again. So that's why I have sibilance right before inside the vocal channel here, and also in the group. So I have another de-esser here. This is the good old Waves de-esser, very old plugin that's been around for ages. So let's check it out. So this is just going to control the de-essing a little bit more. All right.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly.
All right, cool. All right. So now next thing is I have now I'm sometimes I have MB2, but I'm not gonna use it in this instance because what this is probably gonna do is gonna bring up a lot of that room sound. Okay, so again, this was recorded in one of the bedrooms in the villa, so we can hear a little bit of reflection that's coming off the tile floor. So I don't want to bring out too much of that. Okay, so what we have next is Vocal Rider. So you saw Bass Rider just now, that's tuned for bass. Vocal Rider is a little bit more fine-tuned to work with vocal frequencies. So all right, I have a preset here called Smooth Ride, okay, because I want this to be very subtle and very subtle. So range value, let's bring this up to 6. Okay, I should probably adjust this next time because I always want to bring this up. Okay, previously I always have it at +4 -4. So let's check it out. So let's get the target so that we get a nice even vocal.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start.
All right, okay. Very interesting, okay? See, you can definitely hear the room sound, and I've not added any effects to the vocal at this point in time, right? This is everything that was captured right in the room itself. So now a little bit of harshness,
I see you in the sky,
so we can deal with TDR and Nova.
bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly.
Yeah, at about 5K, right? So this is kind of exhibiting that, right? So now this one in the vocal group, the lead vocal group, I have it a little bit gentler, right? I have the ratio at 2:1 instead of 3. Okay, so I want it to be slightly gentler, right? So, but attack and release still, right? Fastest and fastest attack, fastest release. Let's bring this down. The Q have a slightly wider bandwidth, I suppose.
Eyes glowing in the dark, right from the very start. A fight.
Gonna check.
See you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start. A fight.
All right, okay, so right, see? So that's much better, all right? A little bit more in control right now. So let's bring in a little bit. Now, I did mention that you can hear a little bit of the room, but just to give it a bit of width, I'm going to add a bit of this super tap. Okay, so the mic is picking up more of the front and back. So let's give it a bit more of left and right. Okay, so
My love, we're strangers in the night.
so super tap here, let me show you very quickly. It's actually a 2-tap delay, but what I have set it in here that, this is going to be, right, just a single reflection. I'm trying to get, an early reflection kind of a thing going on so that it sounds like, it's the vocal is sitting inside a nice room. So the trick is, of course, this is a send effect, so 100%. We want to turn off any of the direct signal. We want to make sure there's feedback is turned to 0, no feedback at all, because you don't want it to be like a delay, like a repeating delay, see? Just a single reflection. And an important point here is the EQ section, right? This is a low pass filter set at 1.5K, so that means, right, it's going to be rolling off all the highs and all the high frequencies higher than 1.5K lah. So it's going to be a kind of a warm kind of a sound to it, right? Kind of like inside a nice sounding wood kind of a wood room with wooden walls, right? So something like that. So you can hear
the cold wind passing by.
A little bit of the plosives on the P.
Like goodbye.
But sometimes in the context of the mix, it's fine, Let's just listen. Let's just leave it the way it is. Okay.
Love, we're strangers in the night.
Okay, next thing I'm going to add will be the mono delay. Okay, so this is Brainworks BX delay. So I've set it to about 8th note. Let's check it out and see, all right? So this is just to give a little bit more depth.
The cold wind passing by. Like goodbyes.
So I have the ducking set on. So what happens is that when the signal is present, it will duck the delays so that it doesn't clutter up the vocal. But let's turn it off and see. Let's see what it does, okay? Does it bug it too much at all?
We're strangers in the night. The cold wind passing by.
Yeah, so sometimes on the cold wind, so the delay kind of happens on in between that phrase, so it kind of muddies up the vocal. So let's duck it. So only when you have the spaces in between does the delay come back up again. All right.
I see you in the sky, bright like sun. We're strangers in the night.
Okay, there. Okay, once I stop it, then you can sort of hear the delay going on. Now, there is a little bit of reverb. Let's add it. All right, this is the EMT 140 from Universal Audio. This is a plate reverb. So I've got a setting here which is which I like on vocals, especially male vocals. Now I'm going to try and set the pre-delay time. Okay, so I want to set the pre-delay time to sort of match the tempo of the song. But what I need to do is I need to check it on one of the snare drum. Okay, this will help me to set it. So let's listen to it. Let's solo it. Solo the effects and hello. Where's the effect channel? Effects channel. Effects channel. Okay, let's bring it up. Where is it? There we go. Okay, because it's down low. As you can see, so that's kind of the pre-delay I had. So I want to set it in tempo, okay? So now it's like almost like a dotted. So let's bring it. Too long? Da-da. Da-da. So around that, okay? So that's the kind of the pre-delay time that I have set. So let's blend this guy in. Okay.
Love, We're strangers.
Oh, let's make sure that I turn off the reverb here on the snare drum first, okay? Because I just want this on the vocal only.
In the night, the cold wind passing by, like goodbyes.
Right, so you see, like having this kind of a pre-delay helps to give a little bit of that space, gives that reverby ambience with the vocal, but not have it smear it. Okay, so pre-delay is very it's an important parameter which you can set. Let me just EQ this a little bit further. I think I want to make this a little bit darker, so let's bring this down to about 7K, bring this up to about like 400 hertz. So just really focusing the reverb towards more of the mid-range. Okay, let's listen to it. Okay, let me just. So this is just a reverb return. A bit of the honkiness there, so let's EQ it a little bit. That's 6K, which kind of I think this is again, this is definitely where Jameer's vocal has that kind of resonance over there, and that's 6K, which just happens to be a very sibilant frequency as well. I noticed this as well when I mix Slapshock songs. It's always there. It's around that frequency whenever I deal with Jameer's vocals. Okay, so here we go.
Love, we're strangers in the night, the cold wind passing by, like goodbyes. You move like an angel in the night. You got me hypnotized by your eyes.
Okay, right, so let's mess around with, now I'm going to jump forward now, so let's go into the stereo master bus. Okay, now, so just show you what a couple of things that I have. So first thing I have is an AOC's Air EQ. This is doing a tiny touch of right, a little bit of air above here, just 1 dB of air. Okay, now I actually showed this in, again, another video, right, in my Cubase project template video. So I won't describe this in too much in detail. Okay, just gonna run through it really quickly. So let's go through the next one, which is the Wave C4. Let me loop around the chorus. So this is a multi-band compressor. This is just to kind of touch and just to massage. Just make sure no frequency band, particular frequency band, jumps out too much. Okay, this is going to be very tiny. Let's bring the threshold down. So this is just going to be dancing around here. Okay, you can see, just dancing a little bit on the higher frequencies, just to nudge it down a tiny. Okay, cool. So next thing would be, right, my bus compression. So I'm gonna run it down. This is just going to add a little bit more glue and power to the entire mix. Okay, so usually at this stage when I have the main rhythm parts and the vocals, this is where I would tweak and tweak this first lah. Okay, right. So let's bring the threshold up. What I'm gonna go for is just. Okay, so just 1 dB, not more than 1 dB of gain reduction. Okay, so this is a chain which I've set up, right? So FG gray is the SSL 4000 bus compressor. The FG red is a Focusrite compressor. This FG mu is a variable mu lah, right? Something like a Fairchild. Okay, let's bring this up. So each of these, right, because they're compressing right in series, each of these I'm not going to force these compressors to work very hard. Each of them are just going to do a little bit of lifting. Okay, so there's no one compressor which is forced to work hard, and when you get that very squashed compressed sound. Again, in some situations, maybe that's what you want, but for me, that's not what I want to go for. So each of these is going to do just a tiny touch, right? So in essence, then you get a much more open, natural sound. Okay. Let's go with this one. Try that again. Okay, now I'm hearing how the drums react. So as I said, you set and you don't forget. Okay, as the mix goes along, right? When you change things, when you change the relationship, whenever you introduce new stuff, new things, the relationship between all the different elements will always change. It's a constant, it's a constantly shifting, right, kind of a goalpost, because when you do something, it affects something else. When you bring in this, it affects the drums, for example. So I feel that now I need to tweak back my attack time. Now I need to bring this maybe a little bit lower. Okay. Yeah, okay, so around 0.1, because what happens now is that, right, the snare is kind of hitting the master, the stereo bus compressors a little bit too hard, so it's not really getting the sound. And then the threshold settings that I have, right, on the masters, because it's a kind of a slowish attack, it's laying a lot of that transient through, so that snare is jumping out a bit too much compared with the rest. So instead of gluing it together, it's gluing the rest of the mix together, but it's kind of allowing the snare to jump out a bit too much. So now I need to go back to my drum compressor here, the API 2500, just to bring it down. So let's bring it down to 0.1, okay, 0.1 milliseconds. So this kind of helps it sit a little bit better as well. So it probably needs to be a little bit brighter also. So let's go back to where the snare is. Okay, let's bring in the okay. So just really crank up the saturation on the snare now, and a bit more. Let's just make it a bit more. We're strangers in the night. I feel like the snare, let's give it again. Let's try to drive it a little bit. Give it a bit more. Let's try and check this out. Snare tackler. What does this do? Oh, that's really nice. Like goodbyes. You move. Okay, let's balance down the output. Okay, compensate. Like an angel in the night. You got me. Let's bring a little bit of air in. I really like it's adding a little bit of saturation to it. Let's add a bit of air. Sweet. just bring the guitar up a tiny notch.
Like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start. A fire.
Okay, nice. Okay, very, very cool. So let's bring in now. Let's move on to the verse guitars. So this is again guitars that was added by Leanne. Let's check it out, right? So this is like a kind of a muted guitar thing. So let's check it out. Let's play. Okay, now let me adjust the trim on this. Just a little bit of high pass. Tiny touch at 3.3K. And voila, that's it. That's all we need, man. That's all that's necessary. Okay, don't need too much. Okay, let's link it.
We're strangers in the night. The cold wind passing by, like goodbye.
Okay, so these are all also going to groups on their own. So let me bring all the groups down, I guess, so that it's easier for me to see. Let's bring the group down here. We have an acoustic guitar group. This would be the verse guitars, and we have one more drive guitars, okay? So let's check it out, this verse one first.
Love, we're strangers in the night. The cold wind passing by, like goodbyes.
Sounds good on its own, man. But I feel like I just want to add a little bit of delay just to give it a bit of movement. Right? Just to give it a bit of movement. And what I'm gonna do is the Cooper Time Cube from UID. Right. So let's see. Sync. Make sure we sync it on. And the amount of delay. Let's set it to. Let's check it out and see. There we go. All right, so something a little bit bouncy. Okay, let's do a bit of the let's keep it a bit darker. So yeah, it gives a little bit more motion.
Had me hypnotized by your eyes.
Probably a touch less.
Love, we're strangers in the night.
Let's add a bit of that reverb. Okay, I think we need to put just a tiny touch of a compression on it, right? Because some notes, the one or two notes poke out a little bit, and one of my favorites for electric guitar would be LE3A. Okay, super simple compressor to use. Let's check it out, okay? Let's just apply the peak reduction. That's all it needs. Not more than 1 dB. very cool. All right, I'm liking where it is. So let's go back again to right. So we've got the virtual bus compression down pat. Now let's move on to something else first. Now I just want to do a tiny bit of automation on the bass track. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, like, in mixing we talk about, building dynamics. So dynamics you can build in various ways. You can build dynamics in, firstly, obviously, volume. You can also build dynamics in terms of your arrangement, making your arrangement a little bit thicker, adding additional part, adding more layers, double tracking, right? So especially when you get into the chorus, you want your chorus to sound a little bit bigger. So you can do it in many ways, right? So you can also do it frequency-wise by maybe adding like a high octave part, make things sound layer. Drummers moving from a hi-hat going into the crash cymbal or ride cymbal. These are all ways of adding dynamics. So one thing that we can do is not to forget, I want the bottom end as well to get a little bit bigger. So how we do that is just a very subtle EQ move, just a 1 dB shelf, okay, at 100 hertz and below, super gentle. So this is going to kick in every time the chorus kicks in. Okay, so let's do it quickly. Let's automate it. Okay, let's go into ride. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just going to be very subtle boost to the bottom end when the chorus kicks in. Okay, so let's see. Let's bring this guy here. Let's fine tune it. And it's going to come out when it's a... Okay, when it gets back to the verse, this will kick out. Alright. Okay. Yeah, there we go. And we do the same thing when we get to the last chorus. So I'll show you a lot of other tips later on how to build the dynamics this way, okay? 3, and then 1, 2. I see you in the sky. Yeah, right, so on the second and third chorus, that's where it will kick in. Right, jumping back to the main vocal, okay? Thanks, guys, for hanging out all this while. As usual, if you have questions. And who's that? Hey, it's Uno, man. We'll get to your part real soon, okay? So, back to Jamir's lead vocal. So, if you guys, again, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below, okay? So, back to Jamir's lead vocal. Now, in the chorus, so again, building dynamics. So, in the verses, we have more of a mono delay, right? The reverb is a little bit more centered, a little bit mono. When it gets in the chorus, let's kick it in. Let's make the vocal a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. So let's do that by introducing a stereo delay. So this is also not waves. This is also the same delay. This is Brainworks BX delay. Okay, but instead of an 8 note setting, we're going to go with a quarter note. Okay, quarter note setting, so it'll be a slower tempo. Let's unlink the feedback. Let's put the offset amount back to 0, and for the left, we'll put it a quarter note. But for the right, I'm gonna go with a dotted quarter, right? So the quarter D. Okay, same thing. Let's duck it. Let's have this duck, and let's check it out and how it sounds. Okay. All right. Let me send a little bit of the stereo delay. Okay, right. So typically the feedback needs to be different because we have different delay times. So the left one needs to be a little bit longer. Night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes like a fire. Alright, okay. So I've set these to about 35% and the right, the dotted quarter note to be about 25. Because otherwise, right, the longer delay time will always tend to end longer, so the delay will kind of trail off to one side. I want it to be a little bit even, a little bit ping-pong-ish kind of a thing. In fact, all right, BX delay is super powerful because a lot of things that you can do. You can add some modulation to it. Let's do that. Let's add a bit of chorus. The sky. Oh, interesting. That's a really, really cool sound. You can add a bit of distortion as well. So let's give it a bit of grit. Let's give maybe a 12-bit distortion.
When the sky
Maybe a bit more in the mix.
bright like salts in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my
Ooh, all right, okay. Now that is interesting.
eyes like a fireflies.
So that's your digital distortion there.
It's glowing in the dark right from the very start. I fight
Let's add a tiny bit.
just to stay alive. I need you to survive.
Very cool. Let's just see how this distortion delay sounds like in the chorus, okay? So let's automate it. So this stereo delay only kicks in the chorus.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes like a fireflies, glowing in the dark right from the very start. I fight just to stay.
It's very, very subtle actually. It's very subtle. It just adds a bit of grit to it, right? So instead of something that's a little bit clean, it's just a kind of a dirtier kind of a distortion. Let's add a bit more.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive.
Let's give it a bit of more stereo width. Let's push it out of the speakers a little bit wider.
I can't believe my eyes like a fireflies, glowing in the dark right from the very start. I fight.
Okay, right. So let's have this only kicking in the chorus, okay?
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes like a fireflies, glowing in the dark right from the very start. I fight just to stay alive. I need you to survive. We will fly.
Nice, okay? Very, very nice. Okay, now let's add in a couple more things. So let's go in with some of the acoustic guitar next, okay? So the acoustic guitar, again, it's meant to be something a little bit subtle, so that's why I didn't add it in too early. This is just to give it a bit of that high frequency, the pick sound, pick noise that you hear. So let's just check it out. Let's check the acoustic guitar. Again, I think this was again recorded back here in KL. So it's constant about 1.8K and also at about 976. So let's copy these settings over. Let's pan these left, right. Let's link it. Let's send it to the group, okay?
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't.
Alright, okay, so now this one will need a little bit of compression. So let's go with the LE2A, right? Like, I love LE2A for acoustic guitars. Right, so we don't really want the bottom end, too much of the bottom end. And just to give it a bit of air, let's give it an EQ. Let's go with the Mag. This one, I love to use Mag EQ on the female vocals especially, but here's going to be useful as well. So this is going to be on the air band. Let's see what it does. Let's put at 20, okay? Okay, let's listen to In Context and see. So I just want that acoustic guitar to have a little bit of that pick, that plucking, the plectrum sound to it. I don't really want it to you know, be too much of an acoustic, because otherwise that would be kind of what the all original mix was going for. This one we wanted a little bit more electric guitar centered. So this is just to bring out the pick, okay? In fact, let's go with a gentler slope, 6 dB per octave, but we can push the cutoff frequency a little bit higher. Okay, right. So like this first chorus as well, I forgot to put in the what to say, the delay. All right. Okay. Cool. You can hear the distortion and the delay, right? I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. Okay, sweet. So now next thing, let's go. Let's have some more guitars. So this is a drive guitar part. So this is doing, okay, it's like a it's got a bit of a flanger, like a plucked part. So this helps to add, again, this is again dynamics, okay? So let's go with the same thing. Okay, again, let me set the trimmer to get the gain structure right, because when Lian sent it to me, it is a little bit low, but that's fine, okay? It's all workable. Plus 15 dB, okay, let's check it out. Okay, let's filter out that. So let's copy the settings over. So this will go roughly about 75, not super wide, not hard left, hard right, because that's already been occupied by the main like distortion drive guitars. So let's just blend this in. Let's see how. I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies going in the dark. Right. In fact, this could even kind of go a little bit more middle, actually. Let me turn off the original clean delay, the original riff hook, because now maybe I want Lian's part to jump out a little bit more, okay? Let's listen to it and let's... Right, okay, so I guess that's what we'll do, okay? So let's have the clean guitar. And we'll automate this so that when the chorus kicks in,
I see you in the sky, bright like stars.
okay, it's a bit too much, so let's automate so that it kind of gets out of the way. All right, it gets out of the way of the chorus.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night. I need a light to survive.
Cool.
From the very start.
And then when the verse kicks back in, it will come back in. Okay, so yeah, just give space for all the new guitar parts, okay? Because you know, this is after all kind of a little bit more representative of the E.A.R sound when we play live, because we have Leanne's parts, we have my parts when we play live. Okay. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the following choruses. Okay, and very easy. Let's just copy and paste lah. Hang on a second. This would be minus 18.5 if I'm not mistaken. Is it minus 18? Oh, minus 18, okay. Minus 18. So let's just copy this setting so that every time the chorus kicks in, the clean delay, the kind of little riff part will duck down a little bit, okay? Here we go. Nice, okay, so let's get back last chorus. Last chorus. Now, let me kind of let's take away the aosis. Let's see what it is, because I kind of feel like I need the crashes to kind of jump out a little bit more. Okay, right. I know what to do. Okay, so let's just leave it in. Okay, I know what to do. So probably just need to automate some of the crashes a little bit. Okay, I will leave that until later. Super cool, man. Okay, now let's go with now let's add in the last bits. You see, I'm leaving the rap vocals for close to last, because with rap vocals, with the for both Moods and Dandee, both of them are really easy to handle. I'll explain. I'll talk a little bit more once I get there, okay? So let's put in the last little tiny bit here.
Right from the very start, I see you in the sky, bright like stars.
Okay, now, so at the last section, Leanne adds another guitar. So this is like a high octave, kind of an ambient reverby guitar. So check it out. Let's listen to it first. Okay, it's that kind of a spacey, kind of a space rock kind of a sound. So we don't need all the bottom end for that. And same thing, let's probably need to trim this back up. 15 dB. Roll off some of the top end. And let's make it crazier. Let's add more reverb to it, okay? Let's give it a bit more ambience, alright? So let's put in the Little Plate by Sound Toys. Let's check it out. Check it out and see. Okay, let's. Okay, there's a little bit of annoying thing at about 4.5K. Let's get rid of that. Right, let's copy the settings over. Okay, and let's check it out. Okay, so I suspect once we get here, we want this the plucking guitar to sort of, let's automate it down. Okay, so that it'll give space for that ambient guitar to jump out forward. Okay, because we have so many stuff. If everything kind of competes against each other, you're not giving space for all the parts to come out. So let's automate this. Bring it down by. So we bring it down by maybe about 1.5 dB, just a tiny touch, right? So 1.5 dB. So you still hear it, and let's bring in the ambient guitar. Let's see how it goes. Well, let's mute it all together. Let's see how it goes. Okay, all right. So let's bring this down by quite a good amount. Okay, let's bring the verse that the plucking guitar by about 15 dB, 40.5. Oh, okay, I think I know which is the one that needs to be brought down, not the verse guitar. Okay, let's keep the verse guitar down. I think it's more of this drive guitar. Okay, my bad. Okay. In fact, let's just mute it, I think. What do you think, guys? I think we just need to mute this part because it's kind of redundant, right? To have these two parts kind of going at the same time. So let's just mute it. Once it gets here. So we mute the drive part and let's just keep the verse guitars the way it is. Right from the very start. Let's roll off a little bit more of the bottom, right? Let's get up to like 650 hertz. Tempted to let's play around a little bit. Okay, let's duplicate these guys. Let's experiment and see. Let's see what happens. So I am actually tempted to, okay, so I'm making a copy of this, and guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pitch shift this up by an octave. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's just check it out. It's almost like a sound good digital. cool. Very, very cool. Right, almost like a kind of a synth kind of a line to it. Let me try something different. Let me try instead using Alter Boy. So also by Sound Toys. So what I did just now was just a plain pitch shift, but let me do Alter Boy and let's see what happens. We want to make it sound a little bit more synth-like. So pitch it up. Okay, we keep the formants. Let's compare, right? Transpose. Let's go with quantize. Let's check this one out and see. Let's do a comparison. Okay, let's try this one and see. Or does just plain old pitch shifting sound better? Let's try to transpose it. It sounds like it. It sounds like just plain old pitch shifting is a little bit more, blends a bit better. We just roll off a little bit more of the bottom and let's go all the way up to like 1K. Yeah, I think so, right? Just use it. Just pitch shift the clips, right? And an octave higher and just blend it in, okay? And that gives space. That gives all that space there for the guitars to come up. All right, so hey, we are coming up to a good 3 hours plus, right? Awesome, man. All right, thanks everyone for still tuning in and staying in here. You guys have been great. Okay, you guys have been really awesome. Okay, now let's take. Now I want to take a little quick break. All right, so to just head off to the I'm gonna take a little water break, okay, right now. So, guys, if you guys want to take a little break as well, go grab a drink, go grab some water or something like that, okay? Please do so. We've got the main rap vocals and, you know, some pads, a little bit of the turntable scratches, right? And a little bit of some effects to play around with, and then we'll be back, okay? So, see you guys back in like 2 minutes, okay? Let me just play the music. All right, for the time being, let's listen to it. See you back in 2 minutes.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night we collide. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start. Hey, we're strangers in the night, the cold wind passing by, like goodbyes. You move like an angel in the
all right. I am back, man. Right. Hope you guys haven't gone anywhere. By the way, if you're watching, right, thank you so much, right, for joining me on another episode of MixStream. By the way, right, if you haven't done so, please remember, okay, head on down and click on the subscribe button, right? If you're watching this, if you're not a subscriber, right, head on down, right? Remember to click on the notification bell as well, so that you'll be updated every time I put up a new video. And besides these MixStream videos, right, I have got lots of other content, other videos on this YouTube channel as well. Excuse me, I need to grab a drink, okay? Hope you guys have got a good break. Anybody needs to go to the toilet, go to washrooms, go ahead. As for me, right, I've got a cup of green tea. Okay, now, let's move on. Let's go and let's move on now. So now we're going to bring in the hang on a second now. Let's bring in the rap vocals next. Let's start with Moots first. Okay? Now. Okay, cool. So, now for rap vocals, let's go again with the same vocal chain. Let's put in this guy. So, all of Moots' vocals are going, okay, into the group as well. Let me sort of load that up. Let's Vox Bus. Okay, sweet. There we go. Okay, so same thing, all right? Similar kind of processing. Let's just see how it goes, all right? Let's blend it in.
I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you.
Okay, right. Moots' vocal, right, is very easy to mix. He's naturally got his the presence range, right, the 3K 4K already there in his voice, man. So with any sort of even live, his voice really cuts through really easily. It's very easy to mix. If I recall, when I mix all of project, even with Pop Shuvit albums, there's not much, just compression, a little bit of, sometimes even hardly any EQ. The way it sounds right now, it sounds great already. Probably just a tiny bit of de-essing. All right, but let's just go explore it a little bit closer, right? Okay.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the...
Okay, so again, this is probably, again, the characteristic of the room which we recorded in. So let's...
To the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same.
Okay, so a little bit here.
I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day.
Cycle that.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all its
730 hertz, around there. It's a bit hard to say. I can't remember. Is it? It could be, again. It could always be the room. It could always be the place, because again, this was not a proper studio. This was like a bedroom inside a villa in Uluwatu, Bali, right?
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day.
So again.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance.
And just a tiny touch at 3.3K, okay? Well, so that's kind of where the present speak.
Distance, I hear you call my name.
So this is going to be very subtle, very gentle.
Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day.
Very, very, very tiny amount, okay? So same thing, right? It's going through, right? Parallel processing here.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this
But we need a bit more on the de-esser.
muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity.
That's all, right? Just a tiny touch.
There is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name.
Right, okay. Let's check it again.
Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity.
Okay, right. So going into the bus, right, into the group bus for the rap vocals, for Moots' vocal.
There is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one, I seek you on my destiny.
Right, so same thing, like I set the compressor first, then I push the EQ into it, right? Just to see how it reacts. So again, I think we need to attenuate a little bit.
And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day.
Which is very, very simple, man. Again, it could be because of all these years I've recorded and mixed and EQ'd this vocal. I just like automatically know how Moots' vocal will sound like. Okay, so just add a little bit of the super tap just to give a bit of the depth in the room.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and
Bit of a mono delay.
there is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all.
Alright, okay, so now here I will throw in a little bit of the doubler, okay? So the doubler here, I would go for the doubler EQ because I don't want all the bottom end, okay? So as usual, if you watch my previous videos, I do the vocal thickening trick using this particular plugin, the doubler, okay? But actually you can use it with a lot of other plugins, like stock plugins also can. Again, there's a video on my channel. Go and check it out, okay? I'll show you in detail how I do it. So here, this is just going to function as a little bit of a chorusing, just to give a bit of shimmer, a little bit of width to the rap vocals, okay? So
there is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance,
let me turn off the mono delay first.
Distance, I hear you call my name. Without you,
can you hear that? Okay, so now this is going a little bit wider, okay? But this, of course, is a bit too much. That's a bit exaggerated so they can hear it. So let's check it.
Things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight to the stars and the heavens above and all eternity.
A bit too much, actually. The chorus sounds a bit too obvious.
There is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way.
Okay.
I will find you one day. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way, but I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens.
Okay, right. So now I'm going to add maybe a little bit of 1K and 4K just to push Moods' vocal, just a little bit more bite to it, just a bit more presence. Okay.
Heavens above and all eternity, there is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way, but I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way, but I know I will find you one day. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same.
Right, I think let's shift it down to a bit more 4K, because 8K, 10K, a bit too shimmery. Again, that's more towards a pop territory. Okay, so just give a little bit more of that mid, that mid-range, more towards Moods' vocal. And that's pretty much it. Moods' vocal is very, very straightforward. Okay, so we have the backups. Okay, so the backups, again, very simple. I will also run it through a similar chain with the parallel processing, except that without TDR. I keep this a little bit simpler. So for the backups, this will be usually a little bit simpler. Let's just EQ at the bottom.
To spark the night as I take flight.
So maybe a little bit more filtered kind of a sound, you see?
Through the stars and the heavens above.
Okay.
You are my destiny. Call my name.
About
Things will never be the same. Lost in my way.
About 850, you have that little kind of resonance there. So let's copy over the same thing to the second one. And hello. Oh no, please don't tell me that you crashed Cubase. I was just copying over like one simple plugin. Okay, now let's see. Did it crash or not? I'm not running a lot of stuff. Oh no. This might mean that it's crashed. Okay, let's just give it a second, okay? So, thanks guys very, very much for watching all this while. And what else is going on? Okay, we're coming up to about 3.5 hours already. And oh no, it's not moving. Oh man, are you kidding me? Okay, I'm gonna have to edit this out. Or maybe I'll just keep this in, okay? Has Cubase crashed? Just copying over one little simple preset. Oh, this sucks, man. It's not responding. It is not responding. Okay, all right. So, I got a feeling that it has crashed, okay? Right. Stay tuned, okay? Now, let me just close this real quickly. Now, in case the stream gets interrupted, right, don't go anywhere, okay? I'll be back. So, let me just close Cubase. I may have to force it to close. I have to force Cubase to shut down. Do I have to? Okay, let me try and go to the task manager and force Cubase to shut down. Yeah, Cubase Pro is not responding. End task. Okay, let's open up Cubase again. Okay. Now, hopefully I have not lost too much work, because I usually all right. Okay, use current program preferences. Let's load it back up again. Now, so again, I'll take this opportunity again, once again. Do if you are watching this and you want to help to support the channel, okay, there are many ways to do so. You can, of course, right, leave a like, right, and share the video, right. This helps with the YouTube algorithm. But most of all, right, if you can, and if you haven't done so, if you're watching this maybe on a replay, you're watching this later on down the line, do head on down, click on the subscribe button, okay, that will be really, really helpful. But if you want to take a little bit step further and you want to help to support the channel financially, you can do so, right, via Patreon. We have a Patreon page up here, right. It's www.patreon.com/studio2105. So now, usually, what I do is that 50% of revenue will always go towards a featured artist. But tonight, this is my band. This is Project E.A.R song. So what we're gonna do is that if you sign up to become a patron today, right? To become a patron, right? Drop us a message. Inside Patreon, they have the messaging of feature. Drop me a message. Use the code. Let me know MixStream14, MixStream14, so that I know that your pledge is going to go. And what I'm going to do is that 100% of the revenue that's going to come in is going to go towards charity. Okay, so that's what we're going to do lah. And okay, great. Okay, cool. We didn't lose much. So we were just about to go to the backups. So what I do, right, when I mix, okay, my Control S is always my best friend, okay. I've already developed it, so it's almost like an instinctive automatic response. Every 30 seconds, I would just do a Control S to save, right. It's a habit that I've sort of built up over the years lah. So let's check it out. Okay, oh, I didn't really clean this up also as well. I should do it lah later, okay. Okay, so back to the same preset. So let's filter out all the bottom end. Don't need the top end.
You are my destiny. Call my name. Things will never be the same. Lost in my way. One day.
About 1K. You got a bit of that resonance there.
To spark the night.
Let's filter this down.
As I take flight through the stars and the heavens above.
Okay, the room's got a bit of that 800.
You are my destiny.
Yeah, 790.
Call my name.
780.
Things will never be the same.
Okay, now, so this was the point where it crashed just now. Fingers crossed it should not happen again. Copy the settings over. Okay, now it's perfectly fine. Yahoo! Alright. Okay. It's so annoying that it happens. Plus, it's happening live on stream as well. With so many of you watching.
Breaks to spark the night. I search
now let's just blend it in.
For this music, I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek. You are my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name.
Let's keep it a little bit more centered. Maybe not centered. I mean, as in 50-50, left, right.
To spark the night, I search for this music. I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek. You are my destiny. And in the distance, I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But I know I will find you one day. To spark the night.
Okay, right. So you see the backups, right, filtered out. You don't need all the bottom end, don't need the top end, so that it kind of sits a little bit behind to support the main rap, okay? So let's go on with Dandee. Okay, my main man Dandee, okay? So let's check it out. Let's do the same thing. Let's chuck in this. All right, let's take out all of these first. Make sure it's going to Dandee's group. Let's do the same thing. Let's chuck in the... That's how we're doing with the processor. Okay, more than enough. Look at it, it's like 60, 70%. Not an issue, not a problem there. Okay, right, so now, Dandee's vocals. Let's do it, right? Everyone's got their set of challenges. Let's blend this in first. Let's see how much we can go.
Can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight we find ourselves. Destiny prevails.
Again, right? With both Moods and Danny, very easy vocals to work with and to process. They really got good presence, and maybe it boils down to having the experience performing on stage, having the experience to sort of project. And in the Moods' situation, because in playing in a band, sometimes you need to know to be able to project your voice out, right? So MCs really need to be strong with their vocals, right? You cannot be weak. You cannot not project. You cannot have develop a good tone. So again, it's really very easy to deal with. Okay, but everyone has their set of challenges. Dandee also tends to be a little bit sibilant as well. So with a condenser, it gets a little bit bright. If I had a choice or an option, I would go for something a little bit more warmer, darker sounding kind of again, an SM7B would be great. And in fact, the second album which we did, right, all the newer singles we recorded all the vocals with the SM7, right? So those really worked well for all of their vocals as well. Okay. But in this case, the situation, it was recorded with the 80-40-50. So let's solo Dandee's vocals here. Let's start again with the TDR Nova. We'll probably high pass everything below 100.
I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight.
Okay, so similar characteristic. I think it's definitely the room, okay? The room that we recorded in, which is just a bedroom, okay? In the villa.
Light, we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I.
Okay, around there is about that 620, same thing. So ratio 3, fast attack, fast release. Let's bring that down.
That I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it
right. So Dandee's frequency is
in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we
at about 5K, 5.1K around there, okay? So let's put in the threshold again, dynamic EQ, TDR Nova.
we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive.
A bit of the plosive, but I don't know. I don't mind. I think in context with the whole music, it's not really a big issue, a big deal. Okay, so that's it. Tiny bit of EQ, dynamic EQ. Sibilance, that's DS a bit.
I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we
Okay, then this R comp just to catch the peaks.
collide. Night and under the moonlight we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's
Right, so moving on to the group. Let's head on the vocal.
what we are. Stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies
Bit of a boost in a minute.
when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe.
Right, second stage of de-esser. So this is post the compressor, because in compression will always bring up all this low level stuff like the transients, your sibilance. It kind of brings it out. So sometimes you need to have a second de-esser right layer at the back of the chain to bring it in control.
Universe, talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night and under the moon.
sweet, man. It's so easy to work with these guys, man. I'm so lucky, right?
The moonlight, we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and travel the
Okay, so same thing. Super tap for a bit of the room. Doubler just to give a bit of that chorusing.
universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies, fireworks at night, and under the moonlight, we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive. I can be your sun, you can be my earth. We can travel.
Okay, a bit of that reverb.
Travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed, yeah, that's what we are. Stars in the skies when we collide. Fireworks at night, and under the moonlight, we find ourselves. Destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive.
Alright, okay, sweet. Let's move on to Dandee's backups. Same thing. Let's chuck in the parallel processing chain. Right,
I can be your sun, you can be my
take out all the bottom end, take out all the top end.
earth. We can travel the universe and we put it in reverse. Yeah, that's what we are.
630 again. That's probably the room, yeah? 630. Because that frequency keeps coming up.
And under the moonlight, destiny prevails.
And then Dandee's resonance at about 5K. So let's kind of notch it out a little bit. So same thing, same treatment, okay? For the backups, let's have them slightly further back just to support the main rap. Okay, let's link them together. Press OK. Let's blend it in.
I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Talk about the past and we put it in reverse. Gifted and cursed.
Okay, let's compare with Moots' vocal.
The night I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens of
Okay, it sounds like, well, maybe let's bring this up. I think Moots' vocal will need just a little bit more air to it. Because again, different. I try to match both of them, okay? They're both very different. So let's bring out a bit more 16K and Moots' vocal.
heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you, things will never be the same.
Check.
I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe.
Yeah, okay. So a little bit more matching lah, okay? Both the MCs. Sweet. Okay, we are almost there. So now the next thing we're gonna add in will be there's actually a little pad that goes underneath the verses. Let's just check it out. So when it gets into the raps, there's a kind of a pad, synth pad that helps support. Very subtle. Okay.
You got me here.
In fact, let's give it a bit more space. Let's put in a reverb. Okay. Let's put in Liquid Sonics reverb. And let's just go with something like a nice, warm, luscious string reverb. This is dry. Okay, width full. Okay, let's low cut about everything below 200. So this is just to give a bit of like warm ambience lah underneath. Okay, it's not really super prominent.
Like an angel in the night. You got me hypnotized.
In fact, let's push it out into the side even a little bit more. So let's do that by bringing in Waves S1 Imager. Okay, this is a super old plugin. Let's just push it out maybe a tiny bit. Not too much, because otherwise you get that kind of out of phase sound. Usually I don't go more than 1.5. Okay, so it pushes it out a little bit wider. Okay, very subtle.
By your eyes. As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight.
Yeah, okay, very cool. So, what else are we missing? Okay, so this one is these are okay. This is very cool. So this was actually the turntable to the noise sounds. So we sampled it from Uno's parts. So Uno, finally you get to your part. Okay, so these are all the scratches parts. Okay, so we just let this run.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies.
Something, I hear something in the vocal. Ah, okay. I heard it. I can hear this. So there's a little click. So sometimes when it gets like on the word like. Let's turn it down. Tone it down. In fact, it probably doesn't need it. We can probably chop this off here. Cool. Okay, right. So again, this scratch will probably need a bit of reverb to it. Let's add this. Let's just add the reverb that we have on the Lexicon 480. This sounds actually, I suspect that this one I had already processed this, because I can hear, it's got that. Typically what I would do is I will put a bit of an auto pan and a modulation, so it makes the scratches, the tainables, a little bit more interesting. It sounds like I already bounced this down from the earlier from the older the tracking sessions, before I sent over the tracks over to Dylan Ali back then. And it sounds like it's already been processed, so it makes things easier, I suppose. But let's make things a bit more interesting. Why don't we just chuck in a delay? Let's go with something from Waves. You have their H delay. So let's do maybe a ping pong delay. Let's chuck it in and see. Okay, let's sync with the host. Okay, let's listen to it, okay? Okay, so the output needs to be yeah, that makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay, but let's probably not have the delay in this scratch part. So let's bypass. So let's have this delay effect only in the scratches, okay? Feedback a little bit less.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity.
And we are almost there, man. Okay, last thing, one more thing I want to sort of throw in is that this is actually a vocal delay that I printed from Jameer's vocal. So I did this as an option because this is what we wanted. Okay, so what is this gonna sound like? Let's check this out. This is already printed. It's an effect that's already printed. Let's just add it underneath. Let's just bring it in, okay?
I see you in the sky.
This would go to, let me bounce this to effects. Okay, alright, so in the verse, this is where the main part comes in. This is where we want this vocal effect. Okay. It's a bit dark. Let's listen. Let's turn it up a little bit more. That's really soft. That's a touch softer than I recall it being there. Again. This is like 8 years ago, man. Probably a bit more. Probably a bit more. Up to like say maybe even 6 dB. Okay, cool. So I think what we need to do is let's bring up the pre-gain as well.
The cold wind passing by.
Yep. Okay, that's more like it.
Like goodbyes. You move like an angel in the night.
Probably even more. Okay, let's bring it up to, let's say, 8.5.
We're strangers in the night.
With 6 dB per octave slope.
The cold wind passing by. Like goodbyes. You move, angel in the night. You got me hypnotized by your eyes. As this sun breaks to spark the night,
Okay, let's see how this sounds in the chorus.
I will find you one day.
Okay, that's a bit too much over there. So let's bring this back down to minus 5.5. So this will only pop up only in the verse lah. Right? This was something that we definitely wanted to have. Okay.
We will fly when in the dawn, right from the very start.
There we go. My love. So it comes in every time here.
Just to stay alive, I need you to survive.
Nice. Very cool. So this is definitely one of the signature parts. Okay. We'll probably tweak around and see whether I can mess around a little bit more with that. Fine thing. And that's almost pretty much it, actually. You know? So, at this stage, I would consider that I'm probably at about 80 to 90% of the way there. So I'm really happy with everything, you know, the core foundation. So usually at this time, we're coming up to almost like 4 hours already. So what I'll do is usually it's good time to take a break because your ears start to get a little bit saturated. So I'll do a little bit more fine tuning, maybe a little more fine automation here and there with here and there, right? Especially maybe with Jamir's vocals, just to make sure that the vocal really keeps it is even. A bit of fine tuning, maybe a little more automation with some of the effects so that it comes in and out. We build a little bit more dynamics. But I'm going to show you one more thing, okay? One last thing before we wrap up for tonight, okay? And we do one final mix now. Is I want to show you again back to the topic of dynamics. So we're going to go to the stereo bus here. Oh, before I forget, okay, couple more things, right? Before I show you that last trick, I want to add in a little bit more stuff. Some of the secret weapons which I really fell in love with, right, has been this guy, the SPL Iron. Okay, so SPL Iron is the mastering compressor, but what I'm going to pull up here is I'm going to do a mid side. This is going to be a mid side thing. Okay, so I'm just going to run the mix through this, and so this here M here is for mid, S is for side. So this is a mid side processing. So what it does, just running it through it, really gives a little bit of depth and extra width to the mix. This is very subtle. You can see that the gain reduction that's going to apply is just going to be a tiny touch. It's just going to move very ever so slightly. Okay, so here, let me turn off. This is the output compensation. We turn this off. Okay, and this one we need to compensate it back down. Let's bring it down by 2 dB. Let's just check it out, maybe in a chorus or something.
I can be your son, you can be fireworks at night, and under the moonlight we find ourselves, destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive.
See, just a tiny touch, just moves a tiny. Let's bypass. Oh, this is actually more of a mastering compressor. Okay, so let me just do maybe a tape roll off. Okay, let's just keep it flat lah. Let's just keep it a bypass. It's also got an air and bass switch here, so which can give you a bit of that smiley curve EQ, but can be dangerous. Be careful not to overdo it. All right. So one more thing I want to add is an instance of the API 560 EQ. So this is the UAD version. So what this one is just going to run the signal through. It helps to make the kind of the image a little bit more solid. There's no EQ, no boost, no cut to it. Okay, so it's just something which I learned and I picked up. So now moving on to the trick which I want to show you. This is, right, again, those of you who've watched this would know, okay, this is to write the master the stereo fader when I get into the chorus. So it's a subtle trick. Okay, every time I go in the chorus, I'm going to bump the volume out, write it up by about 1 dB, right? So it gives an impression when you listen to it, it's like, oh, the chorus is a little bit bigger, right? So this is a very common kind of a trick. So let me show you where is the stereo fader. Where are you, Ben? Okay. There, okay, it's here, but where is it in the mix, huh? Can't seem to find it. Groups, drums, input, output, mix groups. Oh, there you go. It's in mix groups here. Okay, so So this is what I'm gonna do. Let's keep it on right, okay, so you can see it. So every time going to chorus, it's going to subtly fade up into it lah. It's going to ride up.
There is only one, I seek you on my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you things will never be
ready?
the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way. But
1, 2,
I'll find you one day.
okay, so it glitched a little bit, but that's okay. So let's take a look at what it's doing, okay? So this is going to 1 bar, it will ramp up to here, 1 dB. It's very subtle.
Destiny, and in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way.
Okay, out, in fact, it's here, right? 1 dB. So very, very simple trick which you can employ, right, to just make your choruses just jump out ever so slightly, okay? So it kicks out, and then when it gets to the okay, let's do that again. Let's put it in right mode. So when it gets out of chorus back into the verse, it will ride back down to the nominal 0 level. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it goes down here. Okay, all right. Okay, system is choking a little bit. All right. Because I think I know why. Because, you know, it's got 3 essentially processing for 3 lead vocals. So let me just jump over that. And last one would be the very last chorus. So copy that over. Oh, that's so cool, man. That distorted delay. Loving it. So this one will.
You are the light that I need to survive.
Nice. Okay, very, very nice. Okay, so very, very quickly, let me, whilst I sort of talk and explain to you, let me maybe try and freeze the processing for the lead vocals up, because I think that's pretty much where it's the most intensive ones. So now, I'm not afraid to commit, man. So I'm pretty confident already of the processing for the tracks itself, because, you know, that, so let me freeze the vocal track so that I can, right, free up a little bit of CPU processing power, okay? Freeze audio channels. Okay, so before I wrap up, thank you so much, guys, for watching, right, for tuning all this while. All right, thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday night, okay? So, right, again, once again, just before we sign off, right, once we do this, we'll take one last listen to the whole song. So this is like 80-90% of the way. So again, I'll go and do a little bit more of a fine-tuning. I will probably fine-tune stuff, do a little bit more of the automation work, just to there. But to me, this 80-90%, I'm really happy with the way it sounds really. So this is gonna go, what I will do next is, once we listen to this, before I sign off, let me keep my train of thought, because I'm looking at the thing and doing it at the same time, okay? So do consider, if you haven't done so, alright, if you're still watching this, remember, click and subscribe, okay? That will really help with the channel. I got a whole bunch of videos that are coming out. All right, the direct access 1.0 music production videos, for example, the whole series is coming out right now. It's available right now. So pretty much every single day I'm putting out a new video. For those of you who didn't manage to attend, it's a workshop which I do every year. This time I recorded it and I'm putting out the video so that you can also participate, right, virtually. So check it out, okay? And again, if you want to help to support the channel financially, you can do so by heading down to becoming a patron. Head down to the website, all right, the crowdfunding website, Patreon, www.patreon.com/studio2105. If you sign up today, and if you're watching this video and you're signing up and you're subscribing to a patron, do drop me a message, right, and with the code MixStream14, MixStream14, so that I know that your pledge is going to go towards this video. And this one is going to be special. 100% of everything that you contribute, right, I will be channeling it towards a charitable cause, okay? So in the very first episode I think I did was a song which I did also with Jamir of Slapshock. It was the song Unshakable. We did in a kind of acoustic version. That one also we did for charity as well. So this is a project A. I think it's something that we did. Okay, it's something that's coming from us. So we want to give, if any contributions, if anyone watching this and you pledge and you join, become a patron, right? Right, it will go 100% towards charity lah. Okay. Now, sweet. So I've already frozen some of the vocal tracks. So hopefully when when we play back, it's not going to glitch anymore. So thanks again for watching. Do leave a like, do share, and do subscribe, okay, to the channel. So before I say goodbye, okay, you guys hopefully stay safe wherever you're watching from. All right. Take care of your health. Take care of your personal hygiene. Right. Wash your hands, wear your face mask whenever you're going out, okay, especially if you're going to be going in the confined spaces, or when there are lots of people around now, okay. So now here, proud to present to you, this is Project E.A.R's brand new old single, okay, Starz. Okay, so this is from our album, the Revolution album, but this is like a newer updated version that we're putting out for 2020 lah, with new stuff, new tracks, new guitars and all that. So let's listen from the top, okay. All right, and hope to see you again for the next time in a future episode of MixStream. Right, do stay tuned to check out the rest of the videos that I have on this channel as well. Okay, so here we go. Intro.
I see you in the sky, bright like stars in the night with the light. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a firefly going in the dark, right from the very start. Hey.
It's got a bit of a glitch.
We're strangers in the night. The cold wind passing by, like goodbyes. You move like an angel in the night. You got me hypnotized by your eyes.
As this sun breaks to spark the night, I search for this muse as I take flight through the stars and the heavens above and all eternity. There is only one I seek, you are my destiny. And in the distance I hear you call my name. Without you things will never be the same. I've never felt so alone, lost in my way, but I know I will find you
I
one
see
day.
you in the sky, bright like stars in the night with the light. I need a light to survive. I can't believe my eyes, like a fireflies glowing in the dark, right from the very start. I fight just to stay alive. I need you to survive. We will fly. My heart starts to beat so fast. I hope that this will last till we die.
I can be your sun, you can be my earth. Me and you together, we can travel the universe. Fireworks at night and under the moonlight, we find ourselves, destiny prevails. You are the light that I need to survive.
We might shorten that outro a little bit, okay? Right, because that's, I think, probably in the original. Thank you very much, alright? See you next time, okay? Have a good night, everyone.